And welcome to the show. Welcome, everybody. Let's do a quick sound check and we'll get right into our program. All right, that seems to be functioning. Good to see everybody. Hey, did you see Rick Snay today? I saw Rick Snay's program and it was very good. It was very good. Uh, this entire community is coming together with a an agreement on logic, reason, sanity, sort of a consensus on the bare minimum, and it's been amazing to see it happen. Has it not? Um, Anyhow, I'm so glad to be here tonight. Tonight is Thursday, January 23rd for us who are live, and if you're on the replay, well, who knows? But I'm sure that this is a program that many people will be replaying uh, in order to appreciate um, and listen to our special guest tonight. And so we're going to get her on in a moment. But before we do that, I want to say hello to everyone who's here because I appreciate so much that everyone is here and everyone who is here. We'll be rolling into it. Now, if you happen to be hiding, well, I got good news and bad news for you tonight. So we'll get to that. But let me say hi to ACB. Okay, ACB. And Amy is here. Who's your daddy? Lisa, Ben Aaron, True Great Crime, David Rogers. We got Mark Ellis. We got Silenced, Zach Yulery, Deb. We got Sweet Dude Shibby. And we got Monday, Teresa, David Rogers. I may or may not have said your name already. Ninja Warrior Assassin, Tracy Fleetwood, Aaron Town, Ricardo 2. We got Elizabeth Park in the house. We got Asha Harry, Dawn Steele. We got other Lisa. We got woman Doing. We got Eliana Davidson. We got Jenny 33 Digital. Heavy Metal Rehab. M. We got Nature Loving Lady. Texas Lady 1025. Regina Grady Bolden. Um, Mar R. My girlfriend. Mel. We got Plain Iron. Mama Gritty. We got Mandy. We got Heather Brown, Rebecca Ann, 1965, my hero, Shiro. We got Rebecca Green, um, Donnie Pitbull Kuntz, what's up? We got Possum Friend, Oleg Cat, Nino Dino is going to come in here and be mean to everyone, and that's allowed. Jeremiah Grady. Who else we got? Candy M. And Mel is saying, everyone hit the like. Please take Mel's advice. Please hit the like. Be nice to me. We got V, 26 Dead Zombies. Um, Curious Chickpea. What's up, Chickpea? We got MSW 88. Um, we got Bezo Jones. What's up, sweetie? We got Gilletta One. All right, Tony Hunt, Goddess. Um, who else is here? We got Gold 24. Well, that's a new one. Well, welcome to you. Okay. She got Gall. Gall got Gall, right? Amanda Moon, what's up? And who else am I missing here yet? Bill. All right. Peaches 81. Who else we got in here? Court of Public Opinion, another hero of mine. What's up, Mr. Court? We got EWTN, Electric Werecat Truther Network, a buddy of mine. And we love to hate when the hate is righteous. Debbie Packer, we got here. We got Jamie Blair, what's up? And we got Stephanie, Peaches 81, Lowered Customs, what's up? You look like a cool channel. What's up, Lowered Customs? We got 26 Dead Zombies with the super chat. Watch Snake tonight, good one. Brandola Girl, yeah, I saw you over there, Brandola. Um, who else? We got Sunflower Soul, longtime viewer. And Estrella, what's up, Estrella? Okay, we got well, that looks like Sleuthy Goosey coming in at the last moment. Okay, what's up, Sleuthy? We got Royal Wee, Nancy Drew 101. All right, all right. Everyone's made it. You guys are just screeching in here the last possible minute. But welcome to everyone. Brenda Mays. Whoop, she's late. Okay. Oh, say what? There you go. See, sneaking in tardy. Everyone after this moment is tardy. Considered tardy now. Okay. What's up, Royal Wee? All right. So what's up, Delphi? Dark Hearts, the Dark Hearts of Delphi, the uh, the Defense Daddy Admiration Crew, et cetera, et cetera. What's up, all of you? All right, so I tried to catch everyone. Apologize if I didn't. I'm good. I'm glad to see all of y'all and all the regulars. Um, yeah, I agree. It's good to see all the regulars watching all the other channels together. So good. See, that's what I'm saying. Everyone's starting to come into some sort of agreement about the basics here. And so that's what we're doing tonight is we're gathering everyone. What's up, Tammy McCrae? Speaking of another regular, and Nicole Watt, what's up? All right, so here's what we got tonight. Oh, what's up, Peaches? And what's up Sunflower Soul says, what's up? Okay. Middle Sister says, hit the like. Lisa says it's a great atmosphere. Peaches is just sending a $5 super sticker. What's up? Save your super stickers. I'll tell you why. Um, all right. Dark Hearts. What's up? Dish Crew. Dish Crew. All right. So here's the deal. Okay. Here's the deal. Oh, what's up? What's up? Now, long time no see, TPH victims. You been feeling all right? Have you? Long time no see. What's up, Missouri Mimo of 9? Okay. Yeah, Ron, it's a long time no see, and I'm glad to see you. Hope you're doing well. And got Carol. JR Nana Boomer. All right. So that's everyone. Have I said hello to enough people? Okay, what's up, Marcy? All right. So, Marcy, we got Gold 24 says change name. So now I don't know who you are, but you're welcome here. All right. What's up? But it's good to see Ron and everyone and all the longtime viewers. I'm so happy to have you here. Now, listen, I'm really excited tonight to introduce to you a friend of mine, and many of you may know her, some of you may not, uh, and we're going to call her Christine. Okay, so tonight we'll be welcoming Christine, and she is the guest of honor tonight, and we are so happy that she's here tonight because I think that a lot of you have probably been wanting to talk to Christine, and so tonight some of you will have the opportunity. And I'll explain how that will go. Um, all right, what's up? What's up? What's up? Mino Dino says, "What's up, Jamie?" Okay, so that's what we got. Okay, that's what we got. I'm glad to see everyone in the small channel, everyone in the main channel. Okay, um, and the way it's going to work, I can't really help you too much in the small channel. Um, and I'll tell you why later. But let's keep on keeping on so I can get things done. So so let's see. Tonight's show, what am I going to call it? It will be called Delphi, the Prof Q&A with Christine. Okay, that's the name of tonight's show. Um, and it is what it is. So let's see. What we're going to do, um, this is how I want to do this. Um, we'll welcome Christine in and talk to her a bit, okay? And then this is going to go one or two ways. I'm going to open up the floor for questions. And the way that's going to work is if you want to ask a question, I will welcome you to click the StreamYard link when I open the floor. And if you refuse to do that, the only other questions we'll be addressing are super chats of any sort. So I'm not going to be reading the chat tonight. I'm going to be talking to Christine. And so other than the super chats, or if you click the link and come on yourself, that's how we're going to handle the Q&A when we get to it in a little bit. Because first we'll welcome her in and have a little chit chat. Um, anyway, so I'm so glad everyone's here. If you're just lurking, go ahead and if you're lurking, do me a favor, please join the chat. Okay, because like I said, I won't be reading the chat very much, but you're welcome to come in. What's up, Silver Girl? Okay, we got a new one in here. Silver Girl says exciting. What's up, Silver Girl? Right, anyone else in here I haven't said hi to? Kit Kat, I haven't said hi to. What's up? All right. Digital. Laura, I haven't said hi, Laura. What's up, Laura? Okay. All right. Rather not say says hello, Prof. And Patty says hello. Clarice is here. Yeah, everyone's flooding in. Thank you for listening. Join the chat, and we'll appreciate if you join the chat. The mods will babysit, but like I said, I won't really be reading because when I pay attention to the chat, I get distracted. So, oh, CB Wildcat says I was Ka. All right, Cyrix FN. All right, so welcome in everyone, and that's the way that's going to work. So let's see if we can get Christine's self here on the chat. I mean on the live stream. So let me work with her. Let's see. Hello, hello.
Hello, how are
Hello.
you?
Hello, how are you? Long time no see.
I know it.
Day Tripper says listening in. Okay, what's up? What's up, Big JD? Big JD, just a moment. Let me see. I'm gonna help you out right here. All right. Well, welcome, Christine.
Thank you.
I am done with the chat. Thanks so much for coming.
No problem. I'm glad we finally were able to get our schedules to mesh and
Yes,
both get here at the same time.
it's
So,
been crazy, crazy.
well, it has been, and I've been looking for the opportunity to um, repay your kindness in some way, and this is the best I got for now. So
Oh,
I'm
well, that
really, really, really,
thank you,
really
Christine.
grateful to you.
Uh, so I'm calling you Christine. um, I don't know. Some of our viewers may not know you, so I guess would we like to say that perhaps you work in somewhat of an investigative capacity in some of your life? Uh,
I do. So my screen name here on YouTube is silenced. So you've all seen me in the chat. I'm most active in your chat. Um, I was I was hired by Jensen Investigations when they got the contract to be the fact-finding investigators for the Delphi um, defense side of things. So I worked as a PI for the defense side of things. And then that transitioned. So my position moved into, I was a consultant towards the end of things. Um, and then after after sentencing, I decided to break away from that entirely so that I could continue investigating the other stuff that is happening in that area.
awesome. And so, forgive me if I ask you some questions that I already know the answer to, but it's for the benefit of our viewers.
Of course, of
Um,
course. Go ahead.
so, do you have prior in your life? Have you worked as a investigator?
So, kind of. So, I am predominantly I had predominantly done work as a victims advocate or activist, whichever phrase you want to use. Um, so we had investigated some homicides, a lot, okay, a lot of homicides, a lot of missing persons. Most of the cases that we work on start out as missing persons. Um, and then transition over to homicide when, you know, they don't turn up. So we did that. I work closely with Erica Morse, who is also another investigator that worked on the defense side of things. Um, and she runs a newspaper called Victims News Online. And so in running the newspaper, I helped her with some things. I'm not a writer per se, but I helped investigate some of the things that she was looking into.
Hmm. So,
Yeah,
so it sounds like primarily you have worked a lot where when someone goes missing, you try to find the missing person, and
correct.
oftentimes that turns into a dead person.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
risks are very, very high. You know, once now that we've done it for so long, and I'm talking we've done this for 15 years now. So it's not like something we did for a year or two. So we know the statistics on on paper, like the official statistics, but we also know some situational statistics. You know, if an adult goes missing, we know the likelihood of whether we're going to be looking for somebody that's alive or not alive. And if it's a pregnant woman, you know, or if it's a child of a certain age, there's a lot of factors that go into the way we investigate a missing persons, because sometimes you know right away just because of their demographic. whether you should be looking for a living victim or a deceased victim.
And I should also add that I know that we've talked, and I guess I would put it this way, and sometimes you end up with just finding scattered bones of an individual, and you're looking for the identity of that person, or narrowing down the possible identity of that person in order to aid in identifying them for the survivors, the
We
family.
do. We
Yeah.
do. I actually did that in a case. A young lady by the name of Natalie in California. She she dated a guy that was not a good guy. And she went missing. And the town that she lived in was, close to the county line, about 5 miles away from the county line. And a body turned up later. Like enough time had passed that when this body was found, it was bones already. Um, but it turned up in the neighboring county, and so it ended up in the neighboring county's morgue. And I don't know if they didn't try to find a missing persons report that matched those remains, or if they tried and just couldn't, or if they didn't try at all. But they couldn't figure it out. Well, her family had come across my name through some other case that I had worked on and asked for help. Well, it took me about 3 days to locate those remains. And we used a site called Name Us. It's a national website for the missing and unidentified and unclaimed remains. Um, and the bones had been registered in the Name Us registry. So I contacted the caseworker for the bones, gave them the name of the victim that I suspected those bones belonged to. They ran DNA. It took about 6 months, and then they got a match. So, you know, we do things like that, and for us, that counts as a closed case, for us, because her mom had waited years, and her daughter was laying in a morgue 15 miles from her home. It was absolutely disgusting, infuriating.
So wow. I'm thinking back to when you told me that, and yeah. Uh, so I would guess the next question I thought to ask you was that for the past 15 years in doing that kind of work, I would assume, I mean, am I correct in assuming that it requires a lot of research on the internet? Is that the bulk of how you work, or
Yeah, most of it. So when someone when someone first goes missing, we do quite a bit of ground searching if it's someone that is local to us. So, if they're a couple hundred miles away, if they're within a couple hundred miles, we do a lot of ground searching. So we actually gather communities together. We train them how to search. We do searching. That's for deceased victims. We don't do search and recovery. We don't have the certifications for that. So we don't search for living victims, right? That requires, there's a whole bunch of laws and a whole bunch of certifications you have to have that we don't dabble in. But we do ground searches for deceased victims. So we we do that if it's someone close to us. If it's somebody out of town, which we also do a lot of, we do a lot of cases that are not even in Indiana. Um, we can coach them through the process of how to get community support, who to go to help them get trained. We can give them book sources. The National Institute of Justice has some trainings that are absolutely free. You go to their website, you sign up for them. There's like 4 or 5 courses for missing persons. It teaches you how to run a command center, all of those things. And that's all free. And that gives you a good foundation and a basis on how to start networking with law enforcement, with families. A lot of what Erica and I actually do is we act like a buffer between the victim's family, law enforcement, and the media. Because a lot of times there's so much animosity between families and law enforcement. The law enforcement gets mad at the families for talking bad about them in public. The families get mad at law enforcement for talking bad about the missing person in public, or not working hard enough, or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of reasons that a victim's family and law enforcement may not get along well. And we usually function in that gap to try to make sure that both sides are still communicating in some way, or make sure the information is still going back and forth between the two.
Well, that's
Delphi could have,
something,
yeah,
in this case we'll be talking about tonight. That seems to be the opposite. There's a very cozy relationship here, but
exactly. But what there wasn't a good relationship with is the public. And had Delphi had a victim's advocate in the mix right away, there could have been better communication with a frustrated public and law enforcement and the families. But Judge Gull cut all of that off. She cut off all of those avenues when she put in that silly gag order. And it made it impossible for everyone to communicate. There was no communicating with the press. There was no. But even then, that gag order only came into place after Rick's arrest. What was their excuse before Rick's arrest? Why?
well, yeah, that's something I liked that Vinnie Politan was hitting on,
Mhm,
commenting on Doug Carter. Is from the beginning it's been zero transparency.
mhm. A good
But that's a good
advocate.
point you make. I mean, and now it's at an all-time high. This public frustration today is at an all-time high,
It is.
and uh, and I don't see it going anywhere unless something happens here.
Yeah, a good advocate could have been able to help all of them navigate that a little better. Because you got to understand, I will always sit in the position that the families have a right to say whatever in the hell they want to say. They are going through such utter, they're just gutted. So I would never ever tell a family of a homicide victim what they can or can't say. They can just say whatever they want to say, because they've earned that right, right? Just the amount of trauma that they're going through, they can vent that however they need to. But had had law enforcement had some help in the whole PR department, it could have been smoother, because they've never done this before. but it's almost like they took this posture of, we're the police, we know what we're doing, get out of the way. They had never done this before. Was the biggest case that our country has seen in a long time. This was a double homicide of two tender aged children. There's no preparing for that when your training comes from ISP. You know what I mean? Like they were not prepared for this as much as they would like to think they were. But had they had somebody who's done this before, it might not have been as traumatic an experience for all of the law enforcement, the court staff, the jail staff, and the public at large, because a lot of this chaos never had to happen.
Yeah,
And I'm talking about before Rick's arrest.
and this whole thing, I said the other day, this is such a disservice to the girls. Like, to try to rush and force some sort of what they were considering justice for these girls. The result, where we are now, this is not justice for the girls. Chaos, confusion, anger, the majority of the public questioning this outcome. This is not justice, in my opinion. This is controversy for the girls, and that's it didn't have to be that way. It didn't have to be the way that it is now, which is controversy is not a service to the girl's memory. It's a disservice.
You know, let me start by reminding everybody, because I forgot to give my little blurb at the beginning. I do not work for the defense. I do not speak on behalf of anyone working for the defense, and I am not a lawyer. So hear all of that, and then hear me with that mindset, right? I'm just a woman who did a job. So, but in this country and in this state, we have open door laws. Like, the whole reason that we have public access to trials is so that the public doesn't feel like there was funny business going on behind their backs. This case is a real good example of why trials are open to the public. This trial happened in a courtroom that was so small, by the time you gave 10 seats to each girl's family, and then 10 seats to the Allen family, 10 seats to the prosecution, and 10 seats to the defense, that's 50 of the, like, I don't know, 70 seats. And then the press, and only certain press, right? Because she put in weird requirements for the press too. Then the press got either 10 or 15, I don't remember. So really, you only had probably 10 or 15 members of the public in that courtroom every day. That,
And
no.
no
Like,
cameras.
and no cameras. And I have a hard time understanding why Nick McClellan had gone into the city council, county council, I don't remember which, to ask for more money so that he could pay an assistant, because his was having a hard time keeping up with making copies of documents for the press. Um, and that's available on YouTube. Y'all can do your own homework to find that. But I have a hard time understanding why a county that couldn't come up with $5,000 to pay for his secretary and his pay raise couldn't or would turn down the amount of money that court TV or Law and Crime or any of those other networks would have paid to put cameras in that courtroom. Why would you turn down that kind of money? Everybody wanted to film that trial. Why? Like, why? Why would you turn down that kind of money on a
Yeah.
case that had been gagged? Like, there were already complaints about it being gagged. Why? Like,
Mhm.
I don't understand why
Yeah.
either. Like,
And even
I share that frustration just like everybody else. I
to
don't
this
get it.
day, we don't have transcripts. You know, January
Yeah,
23. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I guess let me reestablishing my context here. Let's see. So so I guess you'd consider yourself a private investigator and experienced in cases in which homicide has occurred. Is that a fair assumption?
I was a private investigator. So Indiana doesn't license investigators. They license agencies. So the minute that you are no longer working for an agency with a PI license or a law firm, then you are unlicensed. So at the moment, I am not working for a law firm and I am not working for a licensed agency, which means I am now considered a former PI. Now, if tomorrow I got a job for a lawyer or a PI firm, then I would be a licensed PI.
Hmm.
So it's just a matter of phrasing. Indiana works a little differently than other states. Indiana doesn't have an exam or any of those things for PIs, but you individually were not licensed. It's your firm or your agency that's licensed.
Um, would you be good for a little game of ask you questions? What do you call it?
Yeah. Oh, I love that game.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. A
Play
little
a little
rapid
game here.
fire question.
Yeah,
Yep.
rapid fire. There you go. See, I don't even smoke weed, and my brain reaches for words at times. I'm getting older.
Mine too. Mine too.
It's no, it's a 5-year-old.
I have diabetes and a couple of other things, and some days my brain my brain is a little slow. So like
Rap.
I get every time I do a live at the day after I get to go to Reddit and see all of the things said about every slip of the tongue that I make. If I say he instead of she, oh yeah, I get, oh my God, where did they find this woman?
That's Troll Farm Central now. The Troll
Oh
Farm
my God.
from they've moved from YouTube over to Reddit now. It's pretty
Oh yeah.
interesting.
Oh yeah, it's
I,
fascinating. Because if I'm taking rapid fire questions, that means I don't have time to prepare answers. It's not like a media interview. You know what I mean? Where I get to look through my notes and I can write the date down and I can write down the name of the cop or the name of the expert or what day and what time and you know, I don't have time to do all that. So all I can do is just answer honestly as I remember things. And I'm human, and so if I say he instead of she, don't shoot me. You know
either
what I mean?
reaction. Plus, let's not pretend like this case is not the most information dense case has ever existed because of the sheer volume of disinformation that's been intentionally inserted by the narrative.
Absolutely.
Um, so we'll call it rapid fire, but no, I have the same thing, and mine is sort of a brain fog that I now look. I know it's going to sound like I'm crying like a baby, and I'm sure
Uh
I'm going to
huh.
hear it from the troll farm that I'm
Oh
whining like.
yeah.
But seriously, several years ago, I had COVID. You and I talked about this
Yep.
previous. I had COVID
COVID brain.
I had
COVID
COVID
brain.
real bad for a
Mhm.
month, and it was so bad I completely lost my sense of smell for a year, just about. And it's not even back to normal now. Um, but the worst part of it for me was the brain fog that came with it, where I just could not come up with words. And it when I came onto YouTube a year and a half or two ago, I had just had about a year to recover, and I was just starting to learn to really speak again with some fluidity, because yeah, that brain, what it did, whatever the process was with the toxins that developed from COVID, it really shattered my brain. I mean, like, gosh. Um, but I think I'm bouncing back. I know I'm getting there, at least.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm feeling well, I mean, and I just had it again, but I'm feeling I'm feeling better. My brain is recovering slowly. That COVID brain is no joke.
Yeah, Sarah says neuro component. Check. Yeah, whatever it is, whatever it is, the neurotoxins. I mean, it
Uh-huh.
effed me up for real. I've never had that problem because I was always sort of a nerdy guy. So I always had a lot of cerebral, fluidity. But yeah, COVID knocked me down, like getting hit over the head with a baseball bat.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so no, I had some questions I had thought up, but honestly, because of shit like this, I've totally forgotten them. So I want to hit you with some just to laugh at your responses. Um,
Okay.
okay, lone wolf killing or group?
Group.
Uh, criminal connections or first time?
Criminal connections.
Um, is there more that we are going to learn from discovery, in your opinion, that we don't know today?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. 100%.
Do you think the community will be shocked?
Uh the community as a whole, yes. You know.
Heavy Metal Rehab says this isn't very rapid fire. I told you I will fail. I should have written them down when I was thinking. Uh, okay, Big JD has one. Big JD says hog roast or no hog roast.
We can't fucking find out, man. I listen, I've been asking. I asked I I'm still looking. I'm still trying.
Yeah.
We've all heard about the infamous hog roast, but I can't find real proof.
All right. I'll probably put you in hot water now. Anthony shots or no Anthony shots?
No Anthony shots. Now that's just my personal opinion though. And there may be differences of opinion among people who work for the defense, because I don't know. I don't know what everybody all thinks. But my personal opinion is probably not related.
Um, yeah. I think I've already made myself bored with because I didn't write down all the ones I thought of earlier, so maybe I'll come back to it.
Okay.
But so no, I want to open it up. I asked you earlier, would you mind taking guests to talk about or to talk with? And so
Yeah,
what I
I like
do,
talking to people.
yeah. So really, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow friends here, my Delphi friends here, what I'd like to do is I'm dropping the StreamYard link. Uh, I'd like you to come and ask a couple questions. Okay, so if you would like to speak with Christina, I can get her started. We'll get started. But there's a link. If you want to click the link and come and I'll give everybody about 5 minutes. So if you want to click and come talk, ask a few questions, and we can talk with Christine, and then be nice and give someone else a chance. I would love to have you. Um, And what I will do when a guest comes, I will sit back and just sort of listen because it's your time, not mine. But I have plenty of time when the guests are done. I'll go back to just me and Christine. So, with that being said, give me a moment.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, how you doing?
A little bit tired.
I bet.
So, what's your take on the motion to correct error?
I think it was phenomenal. I am very, very, very hopeful after reading it.
Anything we left out?
Um,
I say we. I was basically the paralegal. I put the exhibits together. That's it.
yeah, it was well done. Um, I saw some of the research for it ahead of time because I saw what Erica had worked on. So I knew some of it that was going to go into it. But yeah, it was really well done. I can't, I can't really think of anything big that got left out. And I think that there was plenty with what was there already. You know what I mean? Like there's minutia, but I think that if you had put in every small detail, the big details would have gotten lost. So I think you did a phenomenal job at pointing out the important parts, the big important parts.
Well, the small parts come out of the hearing if we get one, which isn't all that likely.
You really don't think it's likely? I don't see how you could not get a hearing.
Uh,
Is that
I don't think
That
I don't think anybody's money is on a hearing.
is that
pardon me for butting in, but we are dealing with Judge Francis Gull.
yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to ask. Is she the one that gets to decide whether there's a hearing or not?
She is.
So what if she says no, then what?
Then they
Okay,
file a
this
notice of appeal. Then they
this
file a notice of appeal, and it goes to an appeal.
oh, okay, so this is like part 1.
Well, it's part one if there's no hearing. If there's a hearing, it's part one. The hearing would be part two. The decision on the hearing would be part three, and then the appeal would be part four.
All right. Yeah. I I don't see how she could I don't man, I don't know how she could justify saying no after reading that. How do you look at that Gibson stuff and say no after that?
You know,
I
you
don't
say no
know.
because you say no because you just say no, and you don't think it's legally justified, nothing, and even if the facts are what they are, so not a critical stage. Put your stamp on it, denied, and it's over.
I don't know, man. Hopefully it goes. I don't hopefully I'm putting too much stock in it, I'm sure, but hopefully it's enough because I
I'm going
think
to
it
say
is.
I'm extra concerned about the Weber timeline, and I think that that there will be a whole excuse made of the timestamp is wrong. The timestamp is wrong on that camera, so it doesn't matter.
So, I
Well,
mean, you can easily look at the camera footage and time sunrise and sunset if it comes down to that. You know what I mean? If it comes down to like pinpointing times that difficult, and I'm sure that if they looked at it earlier in the day, you would see him leaving for work, and so you'll be able to get a time for that. So there's gonna be ways to prove what the time on the camera was.
yeah, we have anchors. We have other anchors.
Yeah.
And frankly, the FBI subject information sheet is an anchor. Has Weber home at 250.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my question about that is, what were the intervals of those pings? Is it like an every 15-minute thing, and every 30-minute thing, and every 5-minute thing? I've wondered about the
Well,
accuracy.
it says it's a ping, so it's when the phone contacted the tower. If he
Yeah,
wasn't
but
doing anything.
what I'm saying is,
Oh, and I'm finishing. That my understanding is that the towers go out every 15. The phone goes out every 15 minutes or so, where the towers go out. And so,
yeah, I'd be curious
245.
for some expert opinion on that, because if it pings at 50 minutes after the hour, that's sensible because he should be home then. My question would be, prior to that, where did it ping and where should it, what was a timestamp, et cetera. But it's
Well,
oh,
I said that's one thing we have. We've got some other things.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my opinion, the bulk of it, I know no one asked, but and I'm supposed to be butting out, but in my opinion, the bulk of it in totality, it's substantial enough that I would, I don't expect that this judge will adhere to reason or the law, but I suspect that at least it will be substantial enough for the record. So I was very pleased with it. So that was my take, and we talked about it here.
There's nothing in the law that requires her to set a hearing.
Man, I uh
The consequence of it, though, the consequence of no hearing, though, is the Court of Appeals then has to take all the affidavits and evidence as true. And I think lawyer, today, as good as he is often, and he was good about this, but he was saying that none of this stuff would be available for the appeal, and I think he's wrong.
he he said that none of this stuff would be available for the appeal.
Yeah, he said that because it's not part of the trial record. So, and people, he's not an Indiana lawyer, and I understand where he's coming from, but I don't think he's right about it.
Well, I mean, what is the reality? Is it case record or is it trial record?
No, that's why this is facts. The facts for issues that can be raised on appeal were gotten into the motion to correct error, and all that should be available for the trial record.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all that should be available for the appeal. Sorry. So anyway, I only wanted to get on for a minute and say hi. This is really Christine's show. She knows she knows a whole bunch of stuff, and I really don't.
Well, it was good to talk to you again.
Yeah, yeah, good to talk to you. And I'm going to go to bed and fall asleep listening to all of this.
All right. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we have someone else now. I don't know who this is, so please introduce yourself. I don't know, but welcome, and let's see who you are. This is Sammy Joe. Sammy Jew. Hello, hello.
Oh, sorry, my mic was muted. How are you?
How are you? And welcome. I'll let you speak with Miss Christine, and I'll just hang out.
I'm doing good. I'm sorry, my volume was down. I couldn't really hear you for a second.
Hello.
Oh, hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm kind of I've been following the case since it's been happening. I'm just pretty much observing and just listening in the last couple days to on Proof's channel. I'm new to the StreamYard too, so I just wanted to say hello. I wasn't actually I didn't expect to be chosen in the spotlight for a second there. Um, I just think this whole case is very unjustful, and I think that Goal needs to have her honorable name taken off of her roster. I don't think any of her judgment is correct. I really found it really like concerning that she wouldn't let the defense or hear new evidence get brought in or any of that. I just think this whole thing is in shambles, and there should definitely be a new trial, an appeal for sure.
I concur.
Um, I don't know. There's really not much else I'd like to say. Like I said, I didn't really expect to get chosen in the spotlight. I'm just seeing how things are right now. I've never been on the StreamYard. But thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Have a good night.
You too, hon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's wonderful to meet you. So glad that you found the channel.
Oh, thank you. You too. I hope y'all have a great night.
Bless.
Yep.
All right. Who else we got here? We got Phoenix. What up?
What up, Ralph?
Werecat Truth or Network in the house.
Well, I had one question for Michael, but he dipped. So I have a question for Christine as far as like
say Michael's question. He may answer in the chat, but please have at it, Bean. I'm out of here.
I have to think backwards as far as what my question for Michael was. As far as I've got top of mind the question for Christine because that was my first question. The Keegan Klein confession, you think that's not legitimate? Is that because that was also kind of detailed as far as like being very specific?
So, the thing about Keegan.
Well, I think we all know the thing about him, but like,
Well, yeah. Keegan is a bit of a mixed bag for me. Like, I like he was clearly going to meet them that day. I think we're all on that page, right? I mean,
I don't know that. I wouldn't even. I don't have like an agenda or a belief. Like as far as this goes, it just is very like conflicting information. And as far as like, was he not going to meet him? You're saying he is going to go meet them. That's one point. One point for something. But then also, then he like clearly confesses and says, "Hey, I went there. I stayed in a vehicle while my dad went and did something. I didn't do the murder."
yeah.
Like, I mean that's the confession.
So there's So I don't know. Keegan is a very gifted liar. So there's that.
He's not that gifted because he's doing like the rest of his life in jail. So
Well, yeah,
he's not that good.
right. I mean, he clearly got caught, but Keegan can tell a lie. And for him to take credit for something he didn't do, I mean, I could see him doing that. For him to lie about his dad and throw him under the bus, I could kind of see him doing that too, because he was getting commissary money from some chick on the internet.
Well, commissary money doesn't go like that far. Like,
No, but
Let
when,
me
the commissary money, like,
interject
that's
because
not going to make somebody do something that crazy.
let me bring up Jerry Klein. Jerry Klein, Jesus. The other Jerry Holman. Jerry recently said, yes, the Anthony Schatz account or Anthony Schatz or Keegan lured the girls out there that day.
he said that, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so I guess
he did say that.
where I'd like to anchor this is the concept of, like, I don't tie necessarily Keegan to the Anthony Schatz account. In other words, if Anthony Schatz is arranging to meet them out there that day, I'm not assuming that it's Keegan using the Anthony Schatz account. So I'd like to
Correct.
say
it doesn't necessarily have to be, but that's probably most likely.
well, I guess what
there
I'd like
were-
to say is it's being that Jerry has said that, I'm now sort of assuming that it's probably likely that there's evidence that they're holding that the Anthony Schatz account did arrange to meet the girls out there that day. So that's one data point.
correct.
And the data point is that those alleged confessions, Christine and Fiend, they're not for commissary. Okay. And we're going to have, I see
Right.
Noe in the back. I'll let Noe on to enlighten you on that. Those alleged confessions initially were to the boyfriend in jail.
Correct.
So that's important because it may have a different flavor,
Correct.
so those two things I find concerning, but I mean, I'm really here to ask you. I mean, I'd like our guests to really ask you and for your opinions on things without giving too many of my own. But I know that Noe is in the backstage, so when Fiend gets off, or maybe I can let him on now, but
You can let Noe on.
he can go into that a little more if you guys have questions. But I'll stop
So-
interrupting.
So we know that yes, Keegan had his boyfriend, but he also had that chick that was visiting or that was sending him money. It said she was going to marry him. There was that whole thing. And Keegan likes attention. Keegan said that he was a pot dealer or owned a pot shop or something in Las Vegas. None of that's true. Like Keegan has a very, very long history of telling very big lies. But there was more than one person using that Anthony Schatz profile. And there is more than one Klein that is listed as suspects. So Keegan Klein, there's more than two Kleins that show up in our stuff. There are three.
Well, I think, like, if you take confessions at face value, Rick Allen's aren't very good, but like a number of other people's are pretty good. And
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I think if you just were to take a number of other people's confessions at face value, like, none of them conflict with each other. They could all be true.
Correct.
Like everything Ellis Field says can be true. Everything
Correct.
Keaton Klein says could be true, and everything that Ron Logan says could be true.
Correct. And Anthony Schatz was not the only person that made plans to meet those girls at the bridge that day, by the way.
Well, I mean, I think that's a big like red flag.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some like instigating factor that
Oh,
making them want to go out there at that time on that day.
Well,
And
let me stop, Christine. Would you like to elaborate on that? Can you answer that question?
yeah. So there was a boy that was around her age that
who's
Libby and Abby's age.
Oh, both
That
of them?
yeah, that had plans to meet with them at the bridge that day, and he canceled so that he could play basketball with another friend.
Are you talking about Max?
Yeah, are we allowed to say names?
I'm not going to.
Well,
I'm
didn't
not going to.
Wasn't
Well,
it Max who was supposed to meet these kids? And then he said, "No, I'm busy. I want someone to do something else." I may be remembering that incorrectly.
that sounds
Um,
clear to me.
not the one that I'm talking about.
Okay, thanks.
It's in the chat, but I'm not. I can't. I can't because they were minors at the time, and the law prevents me from.
Awesome. Well, let's
Um,
move on. Let me get. I mean,
So,
let
so
me
this is the kid that was selling
finish.
a knife
I can let Noe.
days after the murder.
this is what.
This is the kid that was selling a knife online the days after the murder.
Right.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. And so yeah, they were yeah. So and that's still not the only one. There were like I think three, maybe four different people had plans to meet them there that day. Well, to hear law enforcement, it was all just coincidental, and
Right.
the
See,
girls
this is
asked to go to the bridge last
extremely
minute, and
concerning because this is a very high level theory, like because how kids are.
yeah, this was not. I don't know why it was ever painted as if this was a last minute um plan or like they just kind of at the last minute, oh hey, we want to go to the bridge, because that's not the case, because there were plans to meet with people when they went to the bridge. So
I mean, so what's the deal with like? Is that the sort of like what's up with those communications that would like evidence all that? Like we can't show all these plans to go to the bridge, like because we didn't hear about that. Like it's totally plausible and perfectly
so
like believable that those all existed, but like we didn't hear about them at a trial or anything.
right, because we weren't allowed a third party defense.
Well, no, it wasn't a lot of third party defense at all. There's a lot of third party defense, like strong suspects that were motion and eliminated out, but
Correct.
the
Peg and Klein
actual
being one of
evidence
them.
of bringing like, hey, this person said go to the bridge to meet with me, like if that person's not in the motion eliminate, then that should be acceptable to bring in.
So I'm not a lawyer again, but Kegan Klein was one of those people that
Well, he was motion
wasn't
eliminated out.
exactly. So that there went that one. And then
if it's any of these other kids, like they weren't motion and eliminated out, they should have been able to bring in their communications in to say, "Hey, I want to meet you at the bridge."
so I don't know because I'm not a lawyer, and I wasn't at any of the non-public pretrial hearings. So
Well, supposedly there's only one non-public pretrial hearing.
supposedly,
Supposedly, yeah, unless they're
but
just
there's a lot of
breaking the law rampantly.
yeah, but during a leading up to a trial like this, a lot of things are done through email. A lot of decisions are made.
It's supposed to be,
Uh,
because the public actually is supposed to have access.
supposed to,
Supposed to, yes. See,
but
that's
I think we've all learned that the public doesn't have access to everything. I think we've all
I mean,
figured
it's
that.
a problem when the public doesn't have access to the thing that the public is supposed to have access to.
You would think, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Like, we're in post-conviction appeal territory. We don't have
Correct.
a copy of the PCA.
Right.
And all it would take is
And there's a reason for that.
one single lawyer to file a motion to unseal to get us a copy of the PCA, or at least try. Well, and nobody's going to do that for us. Who's going to do that?
That'd be a good question for Osbrook.
Well, he's not going to do it because he argues with me about everything. He just tells me I'm stupid.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm not a lawyer. I don't do the lawyering.
You don't even have to be a lawyer. Like, literally, I think anybody could file a motion to unseal. Like, I think it literally can be anybody.
It can't be me.
No one has the balls to do it because they're very happy with it being happy with it being sealed, and it's just the last page of the PCA. It's not even that big a deal. Like, I already know what it says because I already recreated it because it was kind of easy to figure out, but it would still be good to see it, see whose name is on it, see what date is on it. Like, usually you see the stuff on the front end, not after a conviction. It's very weird.
That's assuming it was signed at all. I mean, I don't even have faith that
No, I mean it's going to be signed by the. I don't even think it has to be signed by the judge.
I mean, it could have not been done, and then it was said, "We better produce this." So it was produced without a signature page. I mean,
no, it was. I
faith.
think it was definitely produced without the final page, which had additional information on it, which clarified that this is definitely not a PCA for murder. Like, it was a PCA for a felony murder, which makes it sound like it's not for a murder, which is a problem because when you make it sound like it's only for like an accomplice to kidnapping, that's not the same thing. This is the guy that killed them, because that's not what they alleged, and they didn't allege it until it went to the Supreme Court, and then they said, wait, Richard Allen was the guy that killed them. Never before that.
Okay, so I'll give you I cannot I won't second guess the lawyer's decisions because I'm not a lawyer and I can't do the lawyering. I won't do the lawyer.
I won't either.
But I am
no
gonna
business doing that.
I am gonna give you a nudge in the right direction. His first court appearance should have a transcript You can FOIA that and see what happens.
Oh no, I'll tell you. I'll tell everybody that tries to FOIA that these people are not going to comply with FOIA. Everybody can get wrecked. They're never gonna comply with FOIA.
They have to give you a
No, you
reason.
don't have to. You do not have to. You do not have to comply with FOIA. You can just say get fucked, and then it is incumbent on you to escalate it to a higher person. Well, that's what people don't do. People don't do that. They just expect that a FOIA is going to just work because that's the law. Well, these people don't comply with the law.
Correct.
They don't. These people do not comply with the law. They don't comply with FOIA.
Correct.
They will not provide you things that they are required to provide you.
Correct.
And then when someone does that, they stop. The only
Correct.
way that you're gonna get what you want is to escalate it to a higher power, which might be like it might be going up a couple chains. Like it's gonna take it will take going up the ladder.
Correct.
Oh, I mean, look, my ultimate expectation is this will probably go to the Supreme Court. I mean, honestly, because I don't expect much out of appeal. But I'm a pessimist on that level with these people. So, yeah.
But it's even
I,
before
I
you
would
get to that
urge
level is
patience,
that
but
you
I'm
have
glad
to like
I'm,
you
you
to get like even the basic pieces of information. Like no one's gonna get the basic pieces of information unless they take it up the chain because these people will not comply with the law.
Right. Right. So I know that there are all kinds of people that watch this stream. I would suggest going after the transcript of that very first hearing.
Sleuthie is saying she has it today, as of today.
Excellent.
Oh, excellent. We can't wait to see Sleuthie Goosey.
Yeah, if she goes live with it, great. If not, can you send it my way? I'm impressed that she was able to get her hands on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well done.
Um,
Yeah, I haven't seen it. If you're saying so she hasn't seen it, I have not seen it.
I
The
haven't seen it.
lawyers had to write a motion asking for it.
Um, anything else you got, Fiend? So I can. I'll
Yeah,
let
are you also saying that these attorneys haven't seen that? Like his defense attorneys didn't see it?
I have no idea if they've seen it by now or not, but there was a
But
filing.
they share it with you if they had access to it.
If I asked for something, they would give me what I asked for. If
Well,
I needed
you
something.
seem to be wanting to see this, and you're saying you haven't seen it.
So I don't work for them anymore. So I don't
But this is
know.
front end stuff, so
Huh?
I mean, this is front end stuff. This was something that happened at the very beginning.
So they didn't have it. There was a motion that they had to request it because they didn't have it.
But you don't know
And that was not very long ago. Several months maybe.
the stuff they didn't have the stuff from the very beginning.
They had stuff from the beginning, but they realized that they wanted that specific transcript. So they had to write a motion to request that specific transcript. So
Sleuthie says,
that
So they
motion,
never. So, I mean,
hey,
well,
let me interrupt.
asking
Sleuthie
for the
says,
transcript is different than knowing what it says. You know, sometimes you just want to have the transcript to back up what you already know it says. You think that they didn't even know what was said.
No, that's not what I said. What I said is they had to request the transcript. There are things that I can and cannot say. So you're just going to have to go with me here. I understand it feels like I'm being difficult, but I swear I'm not. I'm telling you what I can tell you. They had to request that transcript because they did not have it. They wrote a motion that is public. Anybody can find it. If you go look
Yeah, but
at the DELPHI doc.
I know about that, but like that you're right. That's a recent transcript. So
Correct.
up to this point, they didn't have that, and they may not have all the information of what was said at that time.
No, that's not what I said. I didn't say they didn't know what happened that day. I said they didn't have the transcript.
Well, those are kind of the same thing. Like they don't really know until you have the transcript.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, listen. Can we move on? It's got in someone's hands.
Yes.
Maybe
I'm very
soon
glad.
we'll see the light of day, but I don't even trust what's in the damn transcript, to be honest with you.
Right.
Don't trust what's in the transcript.
We'll find out. Okay.
No, don't trust what's in the transcript.
They record audio in that courtroom, I do believe.
Let's see it.
Oh no, have you been in that courtroom? I've been in that courtroom.
I have.
Do you think that you can record the audio in that courtroom?
No, but I think
exactly no. That's the answer. No, you can't record the audio in that courtroom.
But I think the court reporter does do audio.
You think the court reporter is trustworthy and going to record the audio correctly?
Fiend. Anything else for Christine so I can let some people on? We got people backstage.
No, I'll go. That's fine.
All right.
Have a good night. It was nice to meet you.
Good night.
Okay. Hey, Sammy Joe, you're still backstage. I don't know if you realize that. Listen, I guess the problem here is that the complete lack of transparency. Kind of getting back to what we were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And no, there, just like with all of the shit, there are recordings. You know, there is a recording that will be used to produce the transcript. Okay, that's matter of factual. However, they never release the recordings. They release the transcripts.
Correct.
You know, so with all of this, we don't have what we need to have.
Correct.
But I'll circle back because it was talked about. And let me stop and say thank you to Chevy Killer. Chevy Killer, you don't have to do that. That's too nice of you.
Oh, wow. Wow. Chevy Killer. You're awesome.
What was I saying? So here's a big deal for me. Now listen. I don't like I guess hypocritical belief systems. So to say so going back to backtrack on confessions as a concept. We cannot adhere to Ron Logan's alleged confessions by a fucking third party or two. We cannot adhere to Keegan Klein's alleged confessions by a third party or two or fourth or fifth, or anyone else's, and then ignore Richard Allen's alleged confessions to third party or two.
Exactly.
So the way I look at it is like, look, everyone knows jailhouse confessions are pretty much worthless, especially when made at the worst times.
And the volume of them in this case was large. The ones that you've heard about are not the only ones there were. There
Well,
was
yeah,
a
and
point
I'm
in
not
time.
mentioning some because I don't want the troll farm to come after me for fucking mentioning troll farm members who've confessed to killing these girls.
Right? But
So
there were jailhouse, there were like, there, they had this one pod that had these 3 guys in it that were all confessing to this crime. They were all in the same pod. They were all in the same little unit. And 3 of them at the same time.
Mino Dino
Nuts.
says, "Are we going to drink
Craziness.
some beer?" Mino Dino wants to have a beer with you, obviously. Thank you, Mino Dino.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Um,
I don't drink beer, but anytime.
I guess what I'm getting at is I think it's pretty pointless to roll over all of these alleged confessions because look, we've had so much disinformation intentionally inserted into this case over the years. I don't want to hear anything anymore. I want to look at direct evidence and talk about direct evidence or firsthand statements from actual individuals, which some is open source because it's all over Facebook, Reddit, YouTube comments, and there's been a lot of text messages and social media comments made by first parties that are
Yeah,
relevant and important. So we can talk about
very
that.
much
We
so.
can talk about evidence. We can talk about discovery. But I think
Yeah.
continually trying to rehash all of these alleged third party confessions is not only hypocritical, it's counterproductive because it adds to the noise. But what Fiend brought up that I was interested in is the concept of luring the girls out there. Because if I were to look at it now and say, well, what is the state saying? You know, most of what they're saying is BS, but there must be a reason that Jerry Holman is going around now saying that Keegan lured the girls out there that day. Okay. Because for me,
Mhm.
obviously, I don't count it as Keegan. That means to me directly, the Anthony Shots account lured the girls out there that day. So I'm going to put a pin in that and say, look, that's something they've given us.
It's a
Okay.
fair
That we
point.
didn't know before.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Now we know from others in the community, there's others who have alleged they were supposed to meet up with those girls that day. So
Correct.
now we have several individuals allegedly trying to get those girls out there that day, which means in my book, uh, Occam's razor, those girls went out there to meet someone that day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Second side of that, the other side of that coin would be I would be willing to bet whoever did lure those girls out there that day had something to do with what happened to them. So maybe it was 1, 2, 3, maybe it was several, who knows? There could have been several people who tried to lure those girls out there that day. And those several people could have had something to do with this group that did harm to these girls. So I think there is something to it. But it's funny that all we're being given is Anthony_shots.
Yeah,
Um,
it is interesting.
so I want to butt in and say that, and I know that Noe's here backstage. Has been waiting a while, so I want to let him on because if you're going to talk about Keegan confessing, Noe is literally the number one person other than a particular individual who I call the boyfriend to give the substance of that, because you talked about the various women who were communicating with Keegan, giving him a commissary and promising to whatever him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really put any weight in that because whatever he's giving them for commissary or for sexual fantasies in the future, that's discounted. Whatever he gives Murder Sheet for commissary or whatever, that's discounted. But whatever he told to this boyfriend, like, I guess I'll let Noe on to talk about that and get it out of the way. And Noe may have a question for you or two. And then we'll just be done with it because I know that most people understand that there's some sort of way that Kagan did implicate himself.
He
And
did. There's a video. So how do I explain this video? So there's a video from a gas station. It's like CCTV footage. And this the FBI, I think it was, went to go get this video. They took it back to the command center, and for some reason didn't look at it right away, maybe. But they later found that the video file was corrupt. And
You're
so,
talking about marathon footage, the marathon
yeah,
gas station footage that
yes,
Carroll County tried to blame the FBI, I think, on destroying or corrupting
correct.
or what, some excuse about that missing footage. Yeah. So what would you like to say about that? I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm trying to keep it rolling for our guests.
No, you're good. So allegedly, there may have been, you know, a porn collector on that video. I don't know because the video's gone. Nobody knows.
Well, here's what I believe is that whatever is on that video was important. I believe it might have shown, to keep in mind where that place is. It's very close to the Riley Park. Riley Park is both an access point to the trails that could bring you, if you chose to, all the way to High Bridge. It's also a
Right.
place where people could have congregated in a staging scenario if they were going to get staged before going out to Ron Logan's.
Exactly.
So it would
Exactly
show
that.
those people approaching Riley Park. And it may have even shown the girls, in my opinion, they may have been with in a vehicle. I mean, it's hard to know because it's been destroyed allegedly, but that is
Exactly.
something that is concerning. I agree. But let me I don't know if you've ever have you ever spoken with Noe?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm very
Okay.
familiar with Noe. Adore
Here's
him.
Noe.
Hello. Good
Hey,
evening.
how's it going?
Hi, Christine, and hi, Prof.
Hi,
Happy
Noe.
New Year. Happy New Year this late in the month, but Happy New Year, Christine. I haven't seen you since last year.
Right? It's, oh my God, it's been so long. It's been too long.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to mention two things with the Anthony shots, and Prof said one of them, which was it didn't have to be Kagan Klein,
Correct.
right? And
Right.
I'm all there. I want to share that Kagan Klein did confirm to me from his own mouth himself that his dad used the account.
Correct.
And very recently, and I'm talking about like within hours ago, within the last 24 hours, I spoke to a loco from Peru who grew up with Kagan. I mean, with the dad.
Mm-hmm.
And she said something to me that I thought was very interesting. And there's, and of course, this is third party talk or whatever you want to hear it, but still, it kind of goes with the narrative. But she mentioned to me that Kagan didn't know much about what was going on with the Anthony shots. He created it and he used it for his purposes, but there was extracurricular activity going on. And
Sounds right.
And she said to me that the dad and another person, and I can't think of the name, but it was the friend who lived either next door or across the street, the friend that went to Vegas, that
Mm-hmm.
they had the access to that account and they were using the account for extracurricular activity besides of what Kagan's purpose with the account was, which we know it was to talk to minors to request images, right?
Right.
And then she also mentioned the cousin, and the cousin, she said, like, both the dad and the cousin, they left the state there, and the cousin bought a home. Um, he bought a home out of state and moved. He no longer resides in Indiana, according to this source. She's just a couple years younger than the dad. Knows the dad, grew up with the dad, and had nothing but bad things to say about the dad. And we all know he was abusive and all that.
Hagen's dad or Tony's dad?
Kagan's dad.
Okay.
Yeah. But since we're in the business of not saying names, I'm saying the dad, the cousin, and the friend. And
Yeah.
we can all kind of, Prof, you know what I'm talking about. The dad, Kagan's dad, Kagan's cousin, and Kagan's friend. And,
Right.
and yeah, and she's like, this is all very like coincidence, my ass. They,
Mm-hmm.
there's involvement there, and it all it all she topped it off with like it all Mason related, you know, type of cover up thing, or
Yeah.
the good old boy, you know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and we move on, and everybody's fine. Another thing I want to mention is that now I will mention Kagan. Kagan told me himself that his dad and the property owner were acquainted through you know, they did outdoor stuff, fishing, hunting, whatever. So that, I don't know if it was ever taken serious. And then another thing this person told me, local from Peru, within 24 hours, that there is a detective by the name of Kendall. Does that ring a bell?
Kinda, but
A detective. Well, I know there is. He interviewed me. Him and David Vito interviewed me. And this detective Kendall, I didn't know, but she said that he passed away recently. But anyway, he he was friends with Tony. Oops, with the dad, with Tony Klein. Okay, I already said his name.
no,
And
they're adults. I don't mind saying their names.
And then I want to move on to what Prof calls the boyfriend. I I cannot dismiss. I mean, up until now, I can't and won't dismiss the fact that one night, uh, this guy, he's my cellmate. We're two
Now, how
doors.
are you going to tell this story and make it PG enough to put on YouTube, sir?
Yeah, it'll be PG.
All right.
But he told me we were two doors away from him. So you just imagine all day long we're out in the common area.
Mm-hmm.
At nighttime, everybody goes to, you know, to your assigned housing. So
Mm-hmm.
I cannot dismiss the night where he clearly told me, he opened his file and started showing me pictures of Kagan's discovery. And he told me that he Kagan had gave him these photographs from the discovery, and one of them was of the dad, Kagan's dad.
Yep.
And he clearly told me this picture is gonna be worth a lot of money someday. And I looked at him and I asked, why do you say that? And he said, because he and the friend, which now we're referring to Ron Logan, were involved in in the crime. So those are two like some of the major things, that these things came directly from Kagan to me. Now the other things, that the talk among the inmates there in that pod that year, summer of 22.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already talked about them, but what I can clearly tell you that things were told directly to me. Those are the three things that I
I
tried to contribute.
I forgot that you were in that pod too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I completely forgot.
For 45 days, just under 2 months, because then I was thrown into what they call the hole, because I had taken Kagan's bracelet. He gave it to me for a drawing, and they found, and the boyfriend snitched on me. I did the mistake of showing it to him because he was showing me, look, Kagan gave me this. So I said, hey, look, Kagan gave me that, right? And I guess Bryce, the boyfriend, he reported me, and they came and they shook me down and found it. Well, I told him I had it. I said, look, he gave it to me for a drawing. Anyway, I went to the hole, and then when I came back out of the hole for 10 days, which is solitary, right? He had been, no, he was still there, but like that very same day that I came back, they took him in the morning. They told him to pack up all his property and took him. Uh, the sergeant that came to get him, I asked him, where is he getting transferred? I asked, and he's like, he wouldn't tell me, right? He said, no, he's not. And that was it. Well, later we found out that he himself had been isolated, but it was for all the stuff he was doing with the chirps and stuff. It had nothing to do with the case or his case or Delphi or anything.
Right.
Uh, okay, so that's what I have, Christine. And my question would be, I'm gonna change gears here.
Wait, I
Do you
have two
know if
things.
anybody has heard from Rick Allen, and what are his conditions? And do you know anything about his conditions or housing status or anything that you can share?
So I've heard through the grapevine
Mm-hmm.
that he 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 got back his money
Mm-hmm.
and his access to the commissary.
Privileges.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And Christy had commented somewhere saying that she had a visit scheduled with her, and that Kathy was working on getting one scheduled.
Okay, great.
So it seems like Christy got approved faster than Kathy did.
Mm-hmm.
That's just their way of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I hear it's all good too. I hear it's all good too.
But that's good. Yeah, that's good to hear, because 2 weeks ago I made contact with both. It was funny that how I had only spoke to Kathy during hearings. I spoke to her 2 years ago in the summer once, then again during trial. Never had any other type of communication with her, but recently, about 2 weeks ago or so, I got a text that said, "This is Kathy," and I said, "Kathy who?" Or no, I said, "How do I know you?" or something like that, and then she called, and I missed the call, and then I called the number back, and she said, "Hello, this is Kathy Allen," and I was like, "Oh, hi, yeah." And then we
Nice.
started talking. This is funny because somebody had given her my phone number and made a mistake, and they were trying to give her a phone number for a law firm, but somehow they gave her my number, by error. So she thought she was reaching out to a law firm, but it was me. So when I started talking, she said, "Wait, is this Noe?" She recognized my voice, and I said, "Yeah, this is Noe." And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and explained herself. But to that point, I hope she doesn't get mad, but she had just shared briefly with me that she had no access. This is like 2 weeks ago, or maybe a little 2.5 weeks. Had no access, hadn't talked to him, hadn't heard from him. And then I also talked to Christy, and it was the same thing. But I have not spoke to them for over 2 weeks. So I'm glad to hear that he is able to communicate and has some privileges.
It just got rolling. It just got rolling.
Okay.
Question for you before Noe, though.
Mhm.
2 questions, and this one is coming from the chat, and one's coming from me. From the chat, they said, "Please describe the picture or the photo that from Discovery that you were talking about earlier." You didn't
Uh-huh.
describe.
It is okay. He had several photos. The one that he told me was going to be worth a lot of money is just Tony Klein, and he is standing next to an officer. um I don't know if it was a local officer from Peru or a state officer. He's standing next to an officer. They're standing in the living room, and I believe there's a couch in the background.
Oh,
And
is this when they're
raiding.
serving the search warrant and searching the house?
Yes, sir. Raiding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that photo actually
Mm,
from someone special.
I
Uh,
know who. Yep.
um, okay, yeah, that is, y'all. That's a photo taken of Tony
Hmm.
while the search warrant is being exercised.
Hmm.
Okay, next
Yeah,
thing.
because
Okay.
when remember had mentioned that they used to all meet in Kagan's room. There was like 6 sex offenders, 5 or 6, and they would all hang out together. And I mean, I would go in there to collect coffee. And one time I went to the door, and he had his whole Discovery laid out on his bunk, and they were all around it, So so the boyfriend somehow was able to convince Kagan to, give him a few of the documents there, and one of them was that picture of Tony Klein. He had, I think, 2 others. Uh, I'm not very sure, don't remember very clear, but the one that I can't dismiss, and have very well photographed in my memory is the one of Tony Klein. The one I just described. What was your question?
Oh, second thing. Just to put it to rest for the last time ever,
Hmm.
could you please describe the alleged confession of Kagan to what happened that day when he says him and his father went to Delphi? Would you please describe that in extreme detail, as much as you remember, and then we'll let it rest after that.
Yeah, he
For the
he
record.
he he said, this is from Kagan. He said, we went to Delphi that day, okay, but I had nothing to do with the crime. I waited in the car, and my dad went out to meet with his friend and out to the bridge. And then he came back, and I only helped to dump the bodies. This is quote unquote dump the bodies. And uh, but the feds have uh, offered me immunity.
And what about did he say anything about we had fun and his father being
Oh,
bloody?
no, what I had said was that they were out there to carry out some kind of fantasy.
And Noe, did you uh, who did you speak to with Indiana State Police to report this story to?
David Vito and a detective by the name of Kendall. I can describe him, and it's the same Kendall that this lady described last night to me. He's tall, blonde guy, and she told me he passed away.
Do you remember when you met with the state police to tell them this story?
October the 3rd of 2022, around
And,
2 p.m. in the parking lot of my employer.
another question. There's been all this controversy about red Jeep versus a car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you've already straightened that out or told the story, but in your opinion, what was the car? And was there a red Jeep? And if not, what was the description of the car? What type of car? Whose car?
I cannot describe the car or whose car, but I know that it was said to me. This is between parentheses or quotations. I waited in the car. Now that I mentioned the red Jeep on my very, very first comment on a channel called The Unsolved, is true, but I had gotten confused because I was freshly out and searching the case, and I was reading and watching videos from numerous channels, and that's how I heard about the red Jeep for the first time. So when I made my comment on The Unsolved, I misspoke, and I was using the speak to mic too as well. I misspoke and I mentioned red Jeep, but then I corrected that on Ruckus's podcast and with you and many other times that
Right.
I did not know
people
about the red
often
Jeep
people
until
often criticize you and say that you lied and said red Jeep. That the
yeah
thing
that I
is,
had yeah that I was the source of that.
you basically knew vehicle, and now that you've given it a lot of retrospective thought, you understand it's a car.
It's a car, and also also I can say it was the car was waiting at the cemetery.
And when you told this to David Vito and Officer Kendall, you also said car. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct, or did you say red Jeep?
No, I told them exactly what I just told you, which was I had gotten confused and I misspoke, but I
Okay.
wanted to correct
And
that.
someone is
said
asking a
car.
question, something that I've never heard, because what I have heard, let me first say the reason I asked the question, I had heard before that he said when his dad returned, he was bloody, and he said, we had fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But there's another question here. Someone is saying, Noe, there was more. Do you remember saying Keegan told you he rolled down the hill and fell?
No.
Okay. And that's what we're trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, is give Noe an opportunity to clean up and tell the story. Oh, so someone is saying, did KK say they dumped the body or bodies? And did he say where?
No, Bob. He said bodies because when Kagan and I had the very, very first conversation one-on-one, because like I said, I was an early bird. Everybody sleeps till fucking 2 o'clock in jail. And Kagan was constantly having to get up early to go out of the pod every morning. This was also during the Reaver search. So whenever Kagan would be waiting for them to come get him, I had a chance to talk to him one-on-one with nobody around, and he said to me that the reason he was being investigated was because he was being investigated for a double homicide, and that the reason he was being investigated was because his father was friends with the owner of the property where the bodies were found. So when he said to me, he helped dump the bodies, is what he said. Bodies with an S.
Did he say where?
No, he did not.
And there's one more thing. and I know you've already answered this. Indy Cindy says, was it a white car?
Yeah, I cannot, don't know, because like I said, it was just the car. I
Yeah.
waited in the car, so I
And I
can't
can separately answer that too. Like, obviously I don't know, but from a secondhand source,
Uh-huh.
it was said to me that yes, it was a white car. So
Okay. Yeah, I've been told the
that's
same
another
thing.
person that was communicating with Kagan told me that he had said it was a white car, but I don't know, Indy.
Yeah, I've been told the same thing, but I myself can't say it because that's not what he told me. What he told me was I waited in the car
Okay. And
at the cemetery.
did he ever say anything from his discovery about his phone pinging in Delphi?
No, I never went in that room, dude. I never got a chance to look at it, read any portion of it or any of it. Just what his boyfriend showed me.
All right. Well,
I just went there to get coffee. I need coffee. Everybody was required to give me coffee every session. And that's period. Final.
You must give Noe coffee when you
Well,
see Noe.
I was the one organizing spades tournaments and chess tournaments and coming up with stuff. So I collected coffee, and yeah, and all right. Anyway,
That's funny.
well, you got any questions for Christine?
no. I mainly I did ask her about Rick and I wanted to say Happy New Year and say hi to her, and I had fun hanging out the few times we did at that Airbnb and getting to meet her,
Me
Eric,
too.
else. So yeah,
No, it was nice. It was, the courtroom was so small and everybody didn't get in. And if you were part of the public, in order to get in, you had to sit there all night
yeah,
and wait in that crazy crowd outside. And it was just such a chaotic situation. But it was so nice to see you there every day,
yep,
even though you couldn't always get inside.
yeah,
You were still there. You were still there to say good morning to us every day on the way in,
hmm,
every time we came out to take a break, to have lunch at the end of the day. Every time we were on our way in and out, we got to see you. And that meant so much to everybody because we were just being there. It was exhausting. It was really long days. It was hard to listen to. And then you had to, you know, walk through the gauntlet of people that would like to murder you
the
on
patrol, the
the
patrol.
way out. Yeah, that weird
Yeah, I mean, I was saying
chaotic
about it
energy.
because the bull crap that, I mean,
Hmm.
that I went through, and some of us have gone through over that. Well, it fucked up your head. It
That's
messed up.
right.
Yeah, and I said, it's kind of like what I did in Allen County. I didn't really mean to get into it with Rick Stay like that, but I had proof that certain individuals were planning stuff behind the scenes and
Yeah,
actually carrying them out, you know,
yeah.
and all I did was expose. I did not do anything, other than expose them and film them and show who they were, and that I got all kinds of heck for it, but that was my purpose in regards to that, right? And people should be adult enough to understand that you got to draw a line. That was a whole different scenario versus the reality of justice for Abby and Libby. I'm,
Exactly.
I. But anyways, yeah, it was nice. It was nice to uh, fellowship and to engage with you guys and all that. I'm very
No
grateful that
question. Does Christine give good hugs?
absolutely. Yeah.
And does Noe give good hugs?
No, he's the best hugger in Delphi.
All right, that's all I wanted to know
Well,
as far as you guys meeting.
thank you, Prof, for having me, and thank you, Christine.
Oh,
for
look, there's
You're
one
welcome.
more question here on the screen if you want to take it.
Okay,
Uh,
what is it?
For Noe.
Oh, go ahead. What is? I can read, Prof. I
It
can.
says, Kelsey talked to Anthony Schatz for 5 minutes the night the girls went missing. Did Keegan Klein ever mention talking to Kelsey?
No, he did not.
Oh, I have another for you.
Okay.
Did Keegan ever mention knowing Daniel Pearson?
No.
Okay.
No, the only name that I ever heard there was Garrett Kurtz.
What did he say about Garrett Kurtz?
It was very general. I heard that he was another one who was like a POI.
Oh, so just chitter
Yeah.
chatter, nothing personal from
No,
crime?
nothing personal. It was a general. Just his name came up, and it was not from Kagan. It was from the that group of 5 people who, like, I don't want to say that we used to call them a certain name, but I don't want to say it. It's not
Uh-huh.
worth it. But yeah,
So-
that group of people that.
So I have a question I'm thinking, because I know this is probably pretty obvious to assume, but just to be explicitly clear. So in that pod where Kagan was, were there any of the dirty white boy, white supremacists, white boy gangbangers in there?
There was one dirty white boy who had he got out of the gang, and he nearly got killed, and they did a lot of bad things to him, and he was actually a cool dude, but he was there for protection for that.
Because he had gotten out?
Mm-hmm.
So because the guys in there, they were either under protection or they were pedophiles, correct?
Yes, different reasons.
So you never knew. I guess what I'm getting at is, did you ever know Keegan to have any association whatsoever with the gangsters or the dirty white boys or any of the
No, but
yeah.
no, but um, I think I've told you this once or before, Prof. But one time, this guy got into it with Kagan, and he was telling me what happened. I had missed the action. I might have probably I was either in my cell drawing or reading the Bible or working out, but I was not in the day room. But this guy got into it with Kagan, and he told me that Kagan got really mad, and and it was rare because Kagan was not a tough guy or anything. He was soft spoken and all that, but Kagan got mad, and he said he made this face expression to him, and he said he literally saw horns. Kagan has 2 marks, like this shape on his forehead, and he said when he made this face expression, he looked really evil, and he literally saw these 2, like, not ended, the opposite of.
Temper. I get it. It's a
Yeah,
temper.
yeah.
Did you
And
ever know Keegan to talk about killing hogs or slitting throats or anything like that?
no,
Okay.
he told me that Kagan has horns. I was like, what the fuck? But anyway, yeah, that.
Well, it sounds good, man. I think, it pretty much clears the air for me
Mm-hmm.
around all of that. And that's very good to be very specific about all of these points, because it's the ambiguity that makes confusion possible. So
Right.
I
Okay.
thank you for clearing
Yeah.
the air and being
Thank you very much, and good night
transparent.
to both of you, and good night to the chat as well. Bye-bye.
Oh, wait, there's one more. There's one more.
What is it?
So there's Eye of Apophis has a question here. He
Mhm.
says, one last question for Noe. Was Keegan Klein under protection of any of the groups in prison? Was someone protecting him or had his back?
Kagan Klein, they had their own table, so no, I don't know that anybody really there in that classification. There's no not a lot of that going on, gang banging. So I don't think he was being protected from any other groups, but they did have their own little club thing, if you want
I
to
got
call it.
one more question too, because this one I think we haven't talked about it in a long time, and maybe never publicly, but privately we have. But um, Kagan and Tony's connection to Ron Logan. What can you say? What you know about that? Like how close they were, and because I think people don't understand that there was a connection to Logan between the Kleins.
Yeah, I heard that from Kagan, and I also heard it from the boyfriend. Um, and what I pretty much have said it. Kagan told me that the bodies were found in one of uh his dad's. The property owner was friends with his dad, so that's a connection to me. And and from the boyfriend, uh, I heard that him and Logan had gone to the bridge, and also there was talk about them doing outdoor stuff in
What
the
is that?
past,
What is outdoor stuffs?
and possibly even like drinking together,
Well, I'm saying what is outdoor stuffs?
like fishing, hunting,
You mean
parties.
Tony and Ron or Keegan and Ron?
Tony and Ron.
Okay.
So that's all I know.
All
Now,
right. Well,
when I talked to this lady last night, um, she didn't tell me any specifics, but she said, yeah, she brought up the fact that Tony would drink a lot in Logan with all kinds of people, and they used to drink at a bar called Kegan something,
I
Kegan
heard that before too. It must that's a
Kegan Barrel or something.
something like that. Yeah, I heard that too. I did.
So I mean, Ron Logan was a drinker, and a lot of people go to Lafayette or Logansport from Delphi. So, but she did not give me any specifics. All
And
right.
they definitely don't drink in Delphi when they're on probation and not allowed to drink alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else?
That's it. That's it.
All
I
right.
think we,
Well,
we
good
covered
night,
Thank you,
guys.
Noe.
Bye
Chubby.
bye.
We covered Chubby really well.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Uh-huh.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Well, what I mean, we interrogated Noe, but that was fun. That was fun. I mean, people have questions here.
That's right. I don't want to give anybody the impression that, first of all, I'm not an idiot, contrary to what some folks would like to think. But there are some things that I can't say. There are appeals coming, and there are some things that I won't say because for a lot of reasons. One is because I don't want to impact or hurt the appeals process at all. And I don't want to impact somebody's life in a negative way that may not have done anything wrong. So if you guys notice that I'm not answering something, it's usually because I can't.
Yeah.
So
And,
I
and
apologize for that. Like I'm getting some flack in the comment section about my intelligence, but I swear to God, it's just because there are some things I just can't share.
and listen,
And
I agree with what she's saying, and I'll tell you this: there is absolutely no way that we're going to mess this up for Richard Allen or for Abby and Libby. There's no way that's going to happen. So
Exactly.
if you want more, trust me, I want more. Christine wants more. And I
Yeah.
know you want more. But everything in time, and that's something I wanted to say to Fiend before he popped off, is patience. You see, we
Yeah.
have a real hard time in this society, in this day and age, with patience. Patience is the key to all of this, because if you're impatient, you're going to fuck everything up for yourself and others.
Mhm.
So we are patient here because we know that what's more important, justice and your own personal selfish knowledge now, or justice and that's long lasting and truth in the future.
Yeah.
Because now will be past it tomorrow. So let's remember that we got to keep it that way. And
And if you want to keep me talking, if you want to keep finding out things, you'll be you'll let me share what I can share, because otherwise I could just not share anything and you can go back to being in the dark. Like that's an option. So like I want to be able to share stuff and I like being able to answer questions, but man, there are some things that I'm just going to have to point you in the right direction and let you find it on your own, cuz I just can't. There are laws that I can't break that concern discovery materials, and it just is what it is.
look, people are asking also about other stupid shit. Let me say this. If you are asking questions about Richard Allen and I'm not responding, here's why. There's absolutely no connection. Okay. We have plumbed, I know I have, and I know Christine have. We have plumbed every avenue, and Noe has. We cannot connect Richard Allen to any of these people. You know who I can connect him to is the Patty family indirectly, the extended Patty family. I don't know if Christine would comment on that. I can connect that. And that's only because most likely it's a small town and people who go to bars end up meeting.
Exactly.
But I cannot connect Richard Allen to any one of these. And I've tried personally to connect him to the cartels, because I often initially believed that Richard Allen may have been supplying pseudoephedrine through his privileged position at work to some of these people who were Smurfs that was sending it to the meth cooks. I can't even find one piece on that. So when I'm telling you I can't establish a connection to Klein's, to any of the POIs, to the victims, I have established zero connections except a sideways connection to some of the extended family. So if you know more than I do, please put it in the chat. I mean, this is a two-way street. Like, you want to give info that you can be vetted, put it in the chat, we'll vet it. I don't have anything to give you on that, and I wish I did, because like, and there's another thing I'd like to say, because this is a gaslight that I hate reading, and I hate when you repeat it. When you say he's got no criminal history, he would never do that. Listen, we're not idiots here. People with zero criminal history murder and rape little young people all the time. It's
Hmm.
not unheard of. So saying that Richard Allen has no criminal history is totally irrelevant to the conversation of whether or not he was involved in this crime. We can spend our time talking about more relevant things. So yes, I cannot connect him. Yes, we understand he doesn't have a criminal history like most people do. Um, but that's why I have a bit of an attitude about going those talking points on Richard Allen, because look, if you produce connections to these parties from Richard Allen, publicize them and they will be known. Trust me. Do you not think there have been hundreds of people trying to do just that from the state and the troll farm? They have been unsuccessful. And I'm sure you would be unsuccessful, because there has just not surfaced any ties of Richard Allen to this crime. Unless you're saying that the bullet is. which I don't count as science. So sorry. And that's my I'm sorry, Christine. I just
No,
kind of
you're fine.
yeah,
You're fine.
I got a little triggered because I don't get wasting time talking about irrelevant shit. Um, so that's why I do what I do. And hey, like I say, I don't ask people to like me much. I mean, just be nice when you're in here, but uh, and it's the same like I was saying with the confessions of all these people, third party and second hand. It doesn't really matter to me. All of these alleged confessions, they indicate weird things. Okay, like for instance,
Right.
the Ron Logan. You know what concerns me with that? The nugget or the seed of a box cutter. Okay, there's something that says to me, you know what? A box cutter was referenced in this case years ago. It wasn't through Richard Allen, though. It was through Reese Davis. Okay. And like I said before, a seed was planted of a van years ago. And it was on the helicopter footage. And then it was on the Packers footage that who talked about. So there's many seeds that have been planted over the years that have been brought up recently, tried to be brought into this case against Richard Allen, that are just it's astounding that people take the bait, because if those concepts as seeds, those tiny memes have been out there for years, then how are they all of a sudden new and important in when it comes to Richard Allen and unique, something only the killer would know?
Right.
Yeah, so that's my take on that. And so I don't know. There's things I do want to say. We have been able to tie Daniel Pearson to Kagan Klein, so that's important.
Yeah.
If Daniel Pearson was out there that day, and if something involved with Kagan Klein lured them out there that day, then yeah, that's pretty fucking alarming. And if Kagan Klein knew Ron Logan, etc., and something tied to Kagan lured them out there, that's pretty alarming. There's a whole lot of alarming things about who lured those girls out there. And like I said, someone lured them, one, or even more than one. They were lured, they were delivered, and they were killed, in my opinion, at this point in time. All right, sorry,
So
Christine. I wanted to go off on a little rant to get that off my chest.
me being an investigator and not a lawyer, something that fascinates me is when you've got, 300 people that you could call as witnesses. Like, I never know why one person gets called instead of another, or why some witnesses get called and some don't. But I would love, like, you know, if we were in an alternate reality where I could, like, you know, talk to a lawyerly type, not on my side, and say, what made you choose this witness over that witness? Like, there were other people at the bridge that day that we didn't hear from. I just, it's
Well,
interesting to me how, like how do they choose? And I'm not, this is not me implying anything. I, like, really am legitimately interested in, like, how do they choose which ones to call, which ones to not call, who to put on the stand, who not to. I That's interesting to me.
what would you like? Can I talk in that direction for a moment?
Yeah,
And just if
absolutely.
there's something you don't want to answer, as you know, just
Right.
um. So speaking of who were not called, um, maybe I'd like to take it in terms of possibly least importance to most importance. So we know that Rayleigh's little sister was not called, and
Yeah.
uh, I've always thought that was odd. And let me say something to the chat momentarily. Chat, I'm not going to be looking at it right now because I want to discuss with Christine. So I'm not going to be reading the chat. But if you put a super chat up, it will flag. So if there's something extremely important, put it up and it'll flag itself with a little star, and I'll come back to it. But so Rayleigh's little sister, who was a minor at the time, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there was something? Okay, let me back that up. In what you have seen that you can talk about, do you think there's anything important that she might have had to say?
You know, in that group started out as a group of 3 and turned into a group of 4, because when they initially were self-reported, they were self-reported as a group of 3 and not a group of 4. The identity of the 4th person didn't come around till later, which
Do you
was
know the identity of the 4th? Is there a 4th?
there is a 4th.
Are you willing to say her identity?
I don't think I can. I don't think I can.
Was she an adult at the time?
No.
Another minor?
It was another minor. So I think that the reason they tried not to mention the littlest one is just because she was little. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they tried to. There was this fear among a lot of the witnesses that they didn't want to get dragged into all this mess.
No shit. Yes.
So
that's where I'm headed. Yeah.
So some of the adults in general, I'm not talking about this specific group of kids, but like in general, some of the people that, called in tips or whatnot, we kind of picked up on an undercurrent of adults in the area that were almost cautioning kids not to say anything, to let the adult check out how that process would work first. Like there was some hesitation. Now, that's something that we've seen before and we see a lot, but we usually see it in cases that involve heavy drug activity, gang activity, like a seedy, dangerous element. And that was not the case with these homicides. They pretty much right away were sure that this was not going to be like some gang killing. These were not 2 little gangsters that got killed for stealing somebody's pot. You know what I mean? These were tender age children. But so I think that is probably why they failed to mention the 4th child, which I found ironic that Rick's initial statement also said that he saw 3 girls. So
Wait. 3 girls. Right.
So if Rick said he saw 3, but there was this group of 3 girls that was actually 4 girls. So when I first read the report, I read things chronologically. So when I first read it, I saw it as 3 girls. Well, then I knew that Rick said he had seen 3 girls. I was like, oh, these must be the girls. Well, then I later came upon, oh shit, it wasn't 3, it was 4.
Can I stop you?
Yep.
Okay. It's occurring to me that I'm misremembering and I'm flipping stuff over. That, yeah, of course. I know who you. Now I know. I get it now. I get it.
Mhm.
Geez, I had it flipped. Yeah, because my preoccupation is similar to where you're going, which is that there's another group of girls.
Mhm.
There is a group of 3 girls, and they're young girls. Okay. Rick said he saw 3 girls.
He did say he saw 3
I
girls.
believe he saw 3 girls, and I
So do
believe
I.
he saw the 3 girls.
So do I.
The
Because
3 girls are the classmates. Okay.
if he saw 3, and then there was this 3 that is now 4, Rick's only said he saw 3.
Yeah, yeah. And even beyond that, they don't describe a Rick Allen. Those witnesses describe someone tall, muscular, and in all black for the most part.
Bingo.
Okay. But let me back you up, because you said something so important, and I'm gonna ask you if you would give an example. Could you give an example of what you were meaning, like a specific example of parent cautioning a youngster to not talk until they are further advised about what to say or what to do? Would you be willing to give an example?
Yeah, I saw a text exchange between what looked like a trusted adult and a minor. And it was a minor that said that they had seen something.
Okay, let me stop you, because I gotta go real slow motion for the listeners.
Yep.
Was this a minor who was out there that day?
Yes.
Okay, so one of these minors who were out there that day had a text exchange with one of the parents or adults in the minor's life?
Yes.
Okay, please continue.
And the adult said the exchange obviously what I saw was obviously mid exchange. Like there had been texting happening before the
Mhm.
screenshot that I saw. But the response from this test respected adult or trusted adult was, don't say anything yet. Just keep it to yourself. I'm afraid that this is going to cause a commotion. Let me figure out how we're going to handle this. You did right by telling me, but just hang tight until we figure out what to do. That's not word for word, but it's the gist of this conversation. And the
Do you
child
know?
responds and says, "Okay, I will." And then it turns out that this minor was taken to the command center and statement given, and everything proceeded as normal. But that was just a good example of the way that the adults
Hmm.
in some of these minors' lives,
Hush, hush, hush! Don't say. So,
yes,
what
it's
do
going
you
to
know the
cause a
date of that?
commotion.
Do you know
Huh?
the date of that exchange?
I don't remember the exact date, but it was probably within the first week or two. It was
Very
very,
directly
very,
after.
very early.
So
Yeah.
one of the witnesses reaches out to a parent figure, and that's the response. What and she so
Mhm.
like that's what I wanted the example for, to say the culture of fear surrounding this.
Mhm.
Don't say no. Wait, it's gonna wait.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a mom, and I've had a teenager that's been in trouble. And so, I mean, I can understand a parent being like, "I- let's talk about it and then we'll figure out what to do together." But I don't know. It just kind of, it, I felt bad for them when I read that text. Like parents being afraid to take their child to the police. I don't know if it was a parent either. So it could have been a teacher for all I know. You know what I mean? But it was
Adult
obviously a trusted
figure.
adult.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But for an adult to even be afraid of sending a child to the police when they've been a witness of some sort, that makes me sad for them.
So you got 2 children killed.
Yeah.
Your child is out there, or some child in your life that looks up to you is out there. They reach out to you and say, I saw something. I was there. And your response is, well, don't say nothing. Don't say, wait, just wait. I'll figure out what to do. We'll figure it out. And then we'll culture of fear. And it leads you to believe then, or it leads me to it makes my mind go in the direction of, so something bad happens to some kids, really bad. My kids were a part of it in whatever way. Am I going to grab my kids and throw them to the wolves? Or am I going to grab my kids and then figure out from an adult perspective, oh shit, what do I do now? And that's any manner of connection to these murders. Direct, indirect, witness, same place and time. It's like you said, it's behavior that reeks of suspicion and paranoia and fear, sort of like you would expect in the drug world.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be.
This was never branded to be something like that,
Exactly. They were told in the very early on in the case, well, we'll let the public decide whether they want to live in fear or not.
Right. Yeah. Wasn't that unbelievable? Nothing to worry about. We have 2 dead children here, but there's no concern for the community.
Right.
Yeah. Which is totally illogical unless, let me just speculate, because that's what I do. Unless it happened, who did it, there's street justice coming, they're not going to do it again because what it was. So there's no concern to the community. So you just say, hey, everything's fine. It's dealt with. And then the next day later, I don't know, 3,000 Hell's Angels show up.
And the choice of I better not. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I was starting. Okay, let me backtrack. So
I caught myself. I was getting ready to jump in a lion's den I don't belong in, so I just didn't.
We're being careful. So I was saying, okay, witnesses are people placed out there from most innocuous to most suspicious. Okay, so we got those girls out of the way. Well, then back to your point, we got 3 other little girls out there who changed the time they were there, who changed the place they were, who changed who they saw and what they did. I just wonder, when is that ever going to be looked at? And why were they not brought into this whole thing? And are they even in discovery? I mean, I don't know. But I think they should be. Okay, they should be in discovery. They should have been questioned. Each of them, and they're possibly who Richard Allen saw, if he saw anyone. I mean, if he saw 3 little girls, I would assume it's those little girls.
My personal suspicion is that that's probably it, but that's my personal opinion is that he probably really did see a group of 3 girls.
Well, I wonder if they saw him then. They should have seen Richard. You would suppose if he saw those 3 should have seen him and be able to say, yeah, I saw Rick Allen, that little guy.
Yeah, you would think so. You know, there's about 70 days worth of interviews that are missing.
Mm-hmm. Conveniently, yes. Okay, I got a complicated one that you can choose to answer or not, but ugh. All right, who else is out there? So we got Cheyenne and Shelby Duncan. What do you think they're doing out there? Like, they're out there and they wait till they are about to leave to take a few photos that are pointless. I kind of wonder if they were out there to meet somebody, honestly.
You know, I don't know. I don't recall. I I don't recall a real reason, like a real motivation for them being there. They might have just been enjoying the warm, unseasonably warm day.
That's the story.
Or if they're anything like I was at that age, they might have been, you know, taking a hike down the trail to roll one up and burn one so they didn't have to make the car stink.
Which you would do.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know what they were doing out there. There was nothing, there was really no indication of why they went out there.
Well, okay, well I can say this. Well, who can we put them in a nexus with?
So they ran into Shelby Hicks and what was it? Is it Daniel Pearson she was with? Hold on.
Yeah. I'll give you
It
the
was.
go.
Okay, good. I thought I was remembering that right.
So I mean, I guess basically, if I'm reverse engineering, I'm saying we can put them together like this. We can put those four together, ignoring their stories. Okay, right now
Wait
I'm
a
pushing
minute.
their stories to the outside. Okay,
Hold on. Shelby Duncan, we're talking about, right?
with Cheyenne. Mm-hmm.
With Cheyenne. Okay, yep. And then they ran into Daniel Pearson and Shelby Hicks.
So
Yep.
that immediately makes a group of four.
Correct.
Cheyenne, Daniel, and two Shelbys.
Yep.
All right. So what if they're there as a group of four for some reason, not two separate groups of two? You know, let's say the whole point was a rendezvous. Hey, me and her are going to meet you and her, and we'll be a group of four at that time and place.
That's interesting. I mean, they did run into each other at some point. So, I mean, there are times.
They all are there at some point together. And I
Yeah.
guess when I'm rebuilding or I'm building this scenario, I'm saying, okay, they're all four there together. They also all made sure to use their devices during
Yes.
that time.
Yes.
Okay, they then attached stories to the digital markers on those devices.
Yes.
So they're able to build, they're able to say, yes, we're all four here at this time and place, and we have these digital markers. And here's our narrative about each of these digital markers and about the whole thing. But here's what concerns me, I guess, and I know that you have a limited scope of speech here, but
Yep.
I'm looking at it and I'm saying, why are there separate? Because I always look for the glitches in the stories, because obviously it's a tell of untruthfulness. And
Right.
so for years, and this is something that we'll talk about with someone else in the future, and actually I'll talk to you privately, but so for the in the initial phase, Daniel Pearson was a POI.
Yes.
He then became a witness.
Yes.
Okay. Initially, there was a lot of reluctance publicly to disclose who he was with. Okay.
Yeah.
It took a lot of sleuthing for people to nail down who he was with.
Yeah.
Okay. So initially, that's my first suspicion arises, is why you're not telling the truth about who you're with, because there's a double homicide. And in any case, in a double homicide, there should be honesty because you want to keep your ass clean.
Well, you know, if you're if
Unless there's
you're
hanky and that kind of shit, right?
yeah,
Or
if,
smoky the doby, the doobies, right?
if you're out there doing something or someone you're not supposed to be doing, you know.
Well, this is where we run into complications because as you sleuth it back, you look at this group with inconsistencies, which indicate untruthfulness, and then you start to wonder, well, it's a lot of gravity to this because there's two dead girls, and you're being untruthful, and so well, now there's this thing where it's like, well, is it because you're doing something you're not supposed to with that one or with this thing or the other thing, or is it because blah blah blah? But what's concerned me lately is that when we look into some of the open source firsthand information, suddenly appears inconsistencies of timeline. Okay, now there you get to a point for me, at least for me, and I'm not asking you to come in and agree with me. I'm just saying I'm
Right.
disclosing my thoughts that I get to this point where I say, okay, you've already lied once. Now the timeline isn't working because the timeline is proving something different. So now I'm looking at a double layer of deception, and you got two little girls who are dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bring it to where I was bringing it with you, which is then we have a group of four, which is the Cheyenne, Daniel, and the two Shelbys, which is, it starts to, for me, it just smells way too wrong. And it's like, so we can admit there's this possibility that there are a bunch of white lies that are stacking up to cover your ass for doing somewhat weird shit that you shouldn't have been doing, but had nothing to do with this hiding or being deceptive about this crime. Or it's not just a bunch of white lies to cover your ass about doing something innocuous. It's that you're telling a bunch of lies about this crime. And so when I start to look at who should have been witnesses, okay, I find it odd that we had Cheyenne and Shelby Hicks, who were not together initially, right? If like when I think of the group, I wonder, well, why didn't Shelby Duncan, like, what did she have to provide? Why didn't Daniel Pearson? I'm looking for witnesses to this event, and I'm wondering, well, shit, you suddenly have Shelby Hicks and Cheyenne attempting to confirm each other's stories and validate each other, and who weren't even there together, except by supposedly by bumping in. And so, like I said, looking back at this group, the little girls, they're being deceptive about their timeline and time and place. And now you have this group of four adults or young adults being deceptive. None of them are brought into trial. I mean, I begin to wonder, are any of them deposed? I mean, what's in discovery? other than the deleted discovery, which we won't know about. I got questions, but I kind of feel like I'm going off on a tangent here because I want the people to talk to you, but those are some things that, as far as the witnesses, those things really bother me. They really do, and I can't hide that. I wonder if you had an incident with all of these people, where are they? You know, why are they missing? Is it because I kind of look with the most skepticism? I look at it as because does their testimony or witnessing suddenly make the story about Richard Allen impossible? Like, were they omitted because it was necessary in order to paint this narrative about what Richard Allen or some figure that would have been like Richard Allen has done? I mean, it's lies by omission are still deception, you know.
So I didn't see any of their depositions. That just wasn't part of the discovery that I got. I only saw the very early parts of the interviews of those four. And of course, they weren't interview transcripts because those were interviews, I believe, in the ones that got lost, deleted, recorded over, destroyed, whatever word you want to use. So I don't know if they were deposed or not. But if their stories held true to what they said in the beginning, they really wouldn't have had much to add. You know what I mean? Like, if if what they said matched their digital records, or you know, and that kind of thing, they wouldn't have had much to add to the story. So I would assume that's probably why they didn't include them. But I don't know, because I don't know what the follow-up
Yeah, I almost wonder
was.
how much investigation was done. You know, it's like, okay, so if you're taking a statement from someone, are you just stopping there? Are you saying, oh, they said they arrived at this time? They said they got a text at this time when they were here. You know, it's like it's all coming from the source. It's like, well, hold on. How much investigation was done with these people out there that day? And
So I know what their pattern was. I didn't follow through on chasing down to verify their times and stuff, because it just never rang true to me, that, or it never really caught my attention that that was something that I needed to focus my attention on. So I didn't follow through and make sure that all of their digital timestamps matched and whatnot. But I do know that, with the exception of a few very important phones that they needed to dump, that they kind of did get digitals from a lot of people. So they were pretty good about getting phone dumps from folks to verify their locations. They actually did a decent job of getting most of them. There's some that I wish they had gotten that they didn't, and they were important ones. But their habit overall was to get digitals that matched.
let's pick up on that, because that's what interests me, is what interests you. So
The ones they didn't get.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, that seems important.
Yeah.
Do you mean the family?
Yeah.
But right, well, the that was mentioned in the filing. So let me reference that to make this
Easier.
easy,
Yeah.
digestible. So in the filings were referenced all of the family's phone dumps that the defense were not provided with. So the defense first asked, can we have the family's phone dumps? So they meant uh, Kelsey, Cody, Mike, Becky, Derek. They then asked again and said, if there were no phone dumps or extractions, can you please verify the fact that there were none? Well, I've never seen a return on that or another follow up filing to say there was an answer to that question. But I do wonder, A, were the family's phones extracted? If they were, do those extractions survive or were they deleted? Um, and C, um, what do they say? I would assume that establishing a timeline would be very, very nice for law enforcement. I would think this: if I'm the prosecutor, I would want a timeline from Kelsey's phone, for instance, to say, I can show you exactly that Kelsey was A, B, C, D, E at this time, this time, this time. Here's the Celebrite extraction or whatever. And it's a shame that was not, because like it's like as if at every turn they've given us something to cause controversy or dissatisfaction, like the allegation that that video on the Harvest store is all that's necessary for that timeline, because people are too reticent about that. They look at it and think, look at the quality of that thing. You can't see what's on that, who's in the car. You can't make out the details of the car. There's so many questions that could be easily answered and put to rest, and to satisfy the curiosity of the public, to say, here's a way to get the public off the backs of the family, you know.
Right.
And it's just like everything
Secrecy.
this
Secrecy is a breeding ground for disquiet and discomfort. It's, it, it just is. They,
Yeah, people have asked for years, like, can you clear the family? That multiple times reporters have asked, can you blah, 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 who has been cleared, blah, blah. And refusing to do that has
Mhm,
caused a lot of issues. And I
mhm.
think it's really uh, caused a lot of leeway for us with public speech, because the fact is, you've never cleared anyone. Therefore, everyone can be spoken about, especially those who have made themselves public figures. So it's heartbreaking, it's infuriating, and we've been going on this tangent that you're doing your PR rounds, shaming the YouTubers, shaming the public, gaslighting, and acting indignant because questions are being asked. But look, you left the doors open to all these questions.
Yeah, yeah. I would love to be able to say that it can't be this or it can't be that, and this is why. But without without that, all I can do is just say nothing, because I don't know. I don't know, and that's like a legitimate answer. I don't know, because I haven't seen it, and then it it also adds, because you have to understand the way that our work group function. I didn't. It's not like I had all of the discovery material either. So we were sent a portion, But that's because one human being can't possibly read it all in 2 years. It's not humanly possible. I did nothing but read for an entire summer and still didn't get through it. And all I had was 4 terabytes. So, and then just reading the discovery wasn't the only thing that I had to do. So I spent probably 4.5 months of 60-hour weeks just reading discovery. Then when I got done with that, I would split my time between reading discovery, watching YouTube to try to catch up on the more modern parts of the case, and then I would have to monitor social medias because these dumbasses like to admit to stuff on the internet because they can't help themselves.
That's what I will
So,
say.
so there's only so much time in a day, right? Like you can only hold so much in your brain, and you got to sleep sometime. I still had to be a mom, I still had to be a wife. Like there's other stuff I still had to do, but the sheer volume of all of it, and it was in such disarray. The lawyers really weren't exaggerating when they talk about the state of the files that we got. It was like somebody threw it in the air like confetti and then scooped it up, dumped it into a hard drive and said, "Here you go, have fun." And so nothing was in order. You would find a tip in one file, but then you'd find the follow-up from that tip in a whole completely separate part of the hard drive. Like shit was just everywhere. So I'd be reading through these documents and then I'd find random pictures of dead people. And then I'd be reading through and then I'd come across a police report for some creepy pedophile guy. Not have any idea who this guy is, why he's relevant, and why I'm being subjected to reading very graphic details of some other crime. Like it was just, it was chaos. But that's just part of the job.
They did it on
And
purpose. I mean, Jesus,
it
man.
was definitely intentional. Drown you in paper and to hide all the good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Make it almost impossible.
I was there the day that Matt discovered that video that had
Yeah.
Weber's hand on it. We were in
Oh,
the office that day. Um,
you're saying like no labeling, no folders, just like bam, just
yeah. So there were like, I think it was sorted into maybe 10 different folders, and it would be like um, ISP would be one folder, and it would contain everything from the ISP just crammed into this folder. Well, the ISP had a big part to do with the case. So some of it would be TIT follow up, some of it would be lab reports, some of it would be evidence logs, but none of it was in order. So it's not like even the evidence stuff was sorted. So you would have an evidence number, like you'd get a return on some piece of evidence and it would have the number, but it wouldn't say what the thing was or where it came from. So then you'd have to kind of try to figure it out from the evidence number. Well, they get the number from the lab, not from the police department. And the lab and the police department use different numbers for the same piece of evidence. It's just, I don't want to bore you with the
like
details,
pretty
but it's a mess.
complex uh puzzle together with the tiniest pieces. And yeah,
Yes,
it's I mean,
yes.
let's see. I wanted to ask, oh man. Oh, I know. Okay, so you said there were extractions that probably should have been done that weren't, and I
Yes.
mentioned the ones that were mentioned in some of the filings. Uh, any others that you can think of? Like what about the searchers? Were any of the searchers' phones extracted, or the finders of the bodies, or were there any looking into the movements of people before the bodies were discovered?
You know what's interesting about that is, had that been done, the part of the crime scene photo leaks wouldn't have happened, right? I mean, there was a searcher that took photos.
Hmm.
So when that whole big photo leak, and I'm not talking about the original trickle of those photos that got leaked, but the one that, caused Fortson's death, that leak. Um, when that happened, they mentioned how many photos there were, and everybody was like, well, I don't remember seeing that many. They were including the photos of those clothes in the creek
Hmm.
when they were saying that there was, I don't remember, 7 or 8
7 or
photos.
9 or something.
Yeah, something. They were including the photos that had been in that water. Well, those were taken by a searcher,
Hmm.
um, and then
Who leaked
shared
it much prior. Yeah.
much prior. They were shared right away in the first few weeks.
You
Those
know what,
started to
Christine?
appear.
I have a I have a question for you that I think our viewers would be fascinated by, because maybe they haven't heard this yet or understood it. But uh, if you'd be willing to describe it the way that you described it to me, could you explain how, when the crime scene investigators came in with the camera, how they set up this 360-degree circular array? Could you go into the crime scene photos at large?
Yeah,
Not the leaks, but how it was laid out, how it all happened, and how the
yeah,
resolution, a thorough description of the crime scene photos in general, so that the viewers can understand. And I hate to use this word, but I would say the beauty of it, because it was really invaluable to have it done in the way that it was done. So that's one place where I would give credit to doing one thing right, I guess. But I'll let you go into it, because I was fascinated by this.
yeah. They really did do a pretty phenomenal job at capturing that crime scene, uh, and what it looked like and where things were. The only thing that they didn't do is use evidence markers or scales to help determine the size of the things that you were looking at, right? So if you go to take a photo, or if you take a photo of a thing with a background that is plain, you can't tell how big it is. But if you set a can of Coke next to it, you it gives you a better idea of how large or small that is, because that scale is there. Well, the police use something similar, and it's an evidence marker. It's usually yellow. It's a little tent with a number on it, and it gives that image a number that they then will use in court. And they it there's a ruler that is also generally used. I didn't see a whole lot of those. Um, but anyway, when they first discovered the scene, there was there were a lot of people there. When it was kind of a there were there was more than one set of searchers that kind of converged. there was a couple sets, and they just kind of all gravitated towards that kind of at the same time ish. And they backed them out of there, and they got them out of the way and cordoned it off, and then waited for the crime scene people to come. They put a yellow rope on the back side, so if you're standing on the water side with your back to the creek, the girls in front of you, and then the cemetery further in front of you, they put a rope between the larger scene where the girls were at in the cemetery. And I think they probably tied that there to keep the guys, when they were coming, to keep them from walking into the crime scene because of where it was placed. And then they put crime scene tape along the side of the smaller crime scene where the girls actually were, on both sides that went all the way to the water. And then because of people coming and going, they had searchers going into the water. They had, all of the crime scene people moving around. There were a lot of people there that day. They had kind of worn a trail almost from the cemetery down to the crime scene. And that was outside of the crime scene tape. So when they start taking photos, they work from the outside in, and it's kind of in sort of a spiral. So you can tell by the sequence of the photos that they're working in what direction they're working in. And so your first layer of photos is around the outside perimeter. So you really are getting photos from every direction. And then once they've done a complete circle, then they'll step in, how far, I don't know, probably a step or two. So when we got the photos, we got hundreds of them. So, and then they go in a circle again. So really capturing the photos of the girls, just the girls, is one of the last things that they do at the scene. I was surprised first of all, how long it took them. They were there well past dark. But I was surprised at how long the girls were there. And I spoke to a couple of attorneys outside of the case. I did not like the defense team, but I talked to a couple of outside attorneys, and they told me that that's normal. That's the way that they usually see things done. It is in homicides that are rural and in big scenes where things are, they don't just happen in a small room, that it can take them a long time, and that they do work in a circle like that. So, you got pictures of them, well lit pictures of them from every direction, which was nice. It made it easy to look, and you could really see every detail that is possible to see from photos.
Can I ask a question for a moment?
Yeah.
Stop. So you said hundreds. How many hundred do you think in total on the photos?
Probably 4.
And within those 400, how many in total do you think would be acceptable distance to the girls, of the girls? How many would you say, like, close enough to see the girls clearly? How many in that group?
Almost all.
Oh, really? And then it's in a circular fashion, coming into tighter and tighter circles.
Correct.
And there are two other questions I had about that, which was, Was in what was cordoned off, was the ravine included in that, or was it beyond the ravine, it just closer in on the girls?
So it was probably, I think you're talking about like the rock. Are you talking about the rock ravine on the corner of the, if you're coming from the cemetery, it's on that right corner.
Yes, going down to the water.
So it was inside of that.
Okay, I figured that. Um, Probably shouldn't have been, but let's see. And then the other thing I had, and I'll please continue because man, I hate stopping your train of thought, but
No, you're fine.
um, the photos. So then, what about the sticks though? So as they came in closer and closer, they got all the photos. Are there photos of the girls after they remove the sticks, and are there photos of the sticks after they remove the sticks?
So there are lots of photos with the sticks still in place, and then there are photos without them in place.
Any photos of the pile of sticks that they had discarded that you remember?
I don't recall. I know they went back for those later. So they would have, when they went back for him, they would have taken photos of him when they retrieved them. But I don't recall.
Um, are there photos of the phone being collected that you've seen?
That's a really good question, but I don't remember.
Okay. And what else about the photos? Let's see.
Actually, I think I do. I think I do recall seeing a photo of her phone. But it was just a phone. You know what I mean? It just looked like a phone.
Oh, and I really hate asking this. Jesus, I do really hate asking this. I hate
That's all
discussing.
right.
It's a shame that we have to. It
No,
really is.
I
But
know.
one of the most alarming things that surfaced during trial for me was one of the journalists coming out and sketching what he said was a pool of blood with sticks in an arrangement over the pool of blood. Do you recall those photos of that at all clearly?
So I don't remember seeing them pre-trial. But I remember seeing discussion of that at trial. Hmm. And I saw the photo that reporter drew. Yeah.
Do you agree that what he drew matched what you saw, or did you see that day?
Yeah, it matches fair enough to what I recall from that day.
Would you say that that figuration with the sticks on the pool of blood very closely matches the figuration on Abby's little body?
I've been asked that before, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to answer that. Like, because I didn't really sit and compare them. I mean, but it looks it looked to me like, the star sign on your cell phone kind of. That's how that's how my brain processes runes. Like I draw them as like a picture in my brain. But it reminds me of the star sign.
Yeah, and that's so I guess what you said was most important in this, I guess, was what he drew pretty accurately matched what you saw, which would pretty closely
Yeah.
resemble. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was close enough. You know what I mean? It was close enough. Like you could tell they were trying to draw something. They were sticks. It's hard to I try to be real forgiving to folks that are that might not know what a rune is or whatever. But
Well, hey,
I
you're not
can
working
see,
anymore. So, well, first of
right?
all, what does it feel? Are you enjoying life?
I am. I am. I was just talking about this morning. It's
Yeah,
so much less pressure,
it's like retirement,
right?
temporarily. But I guess what was I going to say is geez. Okay, so you're not working anymore, so you can probably answer this. In your opinion, do you think that those stick figurations were an attempt to make something like runes, or do you think they were just thrown on the bodies to hide the bodies?
Oh, those were totally runes. Yeah, yeah, they were totally runes. Like a stick is not, it's never going to be a straight line, right?
Mhm.
So it's, I can see how somebody could maybe look at that and go, that's not a rune, that's not this or that's not that. They're freaking sticks. Sticks aren't straight. They're never going to be straight. So, yeah, clearly they were trying to draw runes. I mean, that's kind of clear. They weren't that badly drawn. You know what I mean? They didn't do perfect, but they
And
were freaking sticks.
for me, Christine, where it gets really alarming is that it's not like it's just a one-off. It's not like you just
Exactly.
have Libby with some sticks on her. You
Right.
have Libby with sticks with right angles. You have Abby with that, and then you have the pool of blood with that, and then you have
Yeah.
the mark on the tree. For
Yeah.
me, it's like how many times does it need to occur for it to not be random?
Exactly. The F painting. One of the sticks on one of the girls was cut with a dang saw.
Well, that'd be a good question to ask you. Okay, backing off of the girls, in the whole crime scene, from all of those hundreds of photos in the circles that are tightening, did you see any other sticks of a similar sort? And did you see any other sticks with sawed off edges?
No, not that I can recall.
Do you recall seeing any other sticks that look like it would have been from where they went and grabbed sticks to put on the bodies?
Yeah, you could see indentions in the ground. Like one
Oh,
of
where the sticks
them,
may have been?
yeah, yeah. Like one of them, you could tell like that's where it had come from. Like they picked it up from
Awesome.
there. Yeah,
I think I'm done talking about the bodies and the crime. So I don't like discussing it much because
yeah.
it's
Me neither.
sad and I'm over it, really.
Yeah.
But there are two questions. So Indy Cindy and Royal We.
Okay.
So Royal We says, did the defense get actual surveillance video from the Harvest store, or did they only get stills from Mullen that like similar to what were shown in trial?
I don't know.
Oh, let me put it on the screen. Sorry, there.
Nope. So it's a good question, and it's one that I've been asked before. I don't know. I would assume that they got the video, but it's not something that I had.
So you and I guess I hate throwing you under the bus or whatever, but I'll just, she's no longer working in official capacity. So I'll say this: it's probably pretty clear that Christine and I have a pretty similar theory at this point.
Yeah.
And so maybe I can kind of riff on that for a second. And as far as like my theory is that this crime involves a bunch of criminals. meth dealers, meth sellers, gangbangers in general, possibly Vinlanders, maybe dirty white boy cartel, uh, uh, I don't know, tentacles. What do you feel similarly that this kind of smells of some tentacles of a greater criminal syndicate?
Hmm. So, in my travels into Delphi land, I came across a lot of information that had to do with the methamphetamine trade, um, and who was trafficking, who was who was cooking, who was who was engaged in sex work, like a lot of that stuff. And a lot of it was stuff that people with vendettas would turn in the people that they didn't like. And so there was a lot of, like, I call it the tip wars, but there was a lot of tip war stuff happening. So you kind of get led into this path of the seedy underworld when crimes like this happen. Um, and so I then we had the Franks motion, right? And it brought all of the names of the Odin guys to light. And once those names hit the light of day, then the chatter went wild.
You mean in the tips coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a few groups of different kinds of people that have been kind of talked about as being possibilities of people that were involved. And if you keep them all separate, it kind of looks like throwing spaghetti at a wall to see what sticks. But if you sit back and you let those people blend together naturally and try to figure out, or be open-minded enough to see how those different groups actually intermingle, then you realize they're not really separate groups at all. That what we're actually probably dealing with is one group that is larger than we had originally thought and much more dangerous.
Okay, let me stop you.
Mhm.
Absolutely agree. And this is my theory. So the way I look at it is, this is the group. These are the Odinists. This is the Kokomo crew. These are some of the family. These are some of the fucking meth head cooks. You get it? Or this is the body and these are the tentacles. Two girls end up dead in the palm of their hand. Everybody hides it. And I think that's where we are. So I guess that's what I've concluded. When I've been critical lately of the defense, I've been saying the problem with Frank's memorandum, you're only talking about one of the fingers. And I think that was what he had to work with from discovery at that time. But I think if he would go back and do it again, it would look different and sound different. And hey, the opportunity may come.
The opportunity may come, and there are things that you learn along the way. And to be fair, everybody wants to stay alive. And, you know, the thought of going after large, powerful groups with unlimited supplies of money is not something that most people think's a great idea. You know what I mean? I'm I'm crazy enough to say the word cartel out loud, but that doesn't mean that everybody is willing to do that. And it doesn't mean that you it takes a certain mindset to even be able to see that in the middle of Indiana, that cartel activity is even a possibility here.
Well, let me stop you there because that's where it, you know, I had to learn. Like I had to grow and I had to learn to understand this. Human trafficking exists. It exists in Indiana. And if you don't believe me, hit the fucking Googles. Okay.
It happened yesterday. They had a huge bus yesterday.
Drug trafficking and human trafficking go hand in hand.
They do.
It happens every fucking day. Hit the Googles.
Yep.
Indiana is the hub, the crossroads of the entire eastern portion of the US, which we call the Midwest and the East Coast. You got the Rocky Mountains where I am, okay? And you got California. And then from the Rockies east, you have the crossroads for that entire landscape is Indianapolis. Whoever controls, remember, where does the devil live in Robert Johnson's universe?
Down in Georgia, right?
Down, no, at the crossroads.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of that song, Devil Went Down to Georgia.
The crossroads is like the heart, right? All of your arteries and your everything comes to the heart. It comes, and it branches out. That's what Indy is. The reason being, every direction you got to go, that's your hub. For me, if I'm cartel, I control the hub because everything goes through there. Okay. Now, I'm not naming which cartel. Okay. I'm not naming the location that's their home base. I'm not going that far into it, but I'm saying when we have reverse engineered this entire thing, all of these affiliations tie back to one thing, and it's the color green. All right. The money that's the lifeblood of this society, it's flowing through the veins that are those interstates, and they all crisscross down in Indy. And so it's a very important place to have a whole bunch of gangsters all in the surrounding area, and that's Indiana. And no one's over here. You know, McClellan was recently whining about, it's like, look, no one's dogging Carroll County. No one's dogging Delphi. No one's dogging Indiana. What we're saying is your children are dying.
Correct.
Clean the shit up. And if you're denying what has happened to two of your own children, you're allowing this problem to continue. And that's where I'm calling for accountability. And it's the reason I get up every day and I talk about those two little girls. Look, children die all the time. And people have criticized me. They sent me emails and said, move on, talk about other things. You can do a lot much better. There's other crimes that are unsolved. Yeah, I understand that.
Right.
I'm passionate about this. As you know, politically, I'm also passionate about it. I think this entire operation that's moving fentanyl, moving humans, moving meth, moving everything, it needs to be shut down. And these same people, look, they don't have high school educations for the most part. You know, they're not, it's not like they're all academics. They're not professionals. These are basically guys who take the easy route from poverty right into running for the cartels. Okay. And they do it under the guise of groups. Okay, like this group, that group, that group, which we're calling the tentacles. So whatever happened in Delphi, we can't tell you. We don't know what happened in Delphi. But it's very apparent that somehow, at least for me, these girls got caught up in the tentacles at that place and time, and they suffered, and the families Of course, the family's suffering uh, because they lost two of their children. You know,
Right.
do I agree with everything the family's done? No, but that community is suffering because two of its children were taken. Now, how many more have to be taken? Because if you don't fix it, it's going to continue. And we always talk about the Delphi body count. It's not about Delphi. It's about this entire operation. I want the cartel shut down. I want these little gangs shut down. And it's not going to be pretty for everyone. And the reason that it goes into the prisons is, where do you think the fucking criminals end up? In prison. And then they, don't you know that they get out? So when they get out, they're still the same groups. And so I hope that there's another opportunity for this case, whether it be another trial for Richard or whether it be a Supreme Court. I hope there's another opportunity for all of this to get looked at again, and maybe a thread can be pulled on that will actually unravel it all, because hiding it, making it to try to make it go away, it's never going to solve what's at the root of this, and that's what's heartbreaking. And I just don't believe that all these deaths and all these arsons are just coincidental, you know. And look, we talked to Noe earlier. Noe explicitly explained it to me, how it works when they kill.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just saying what it looks like to me. Those girls got caught up for some reason, and poor Richard Allen. Like, why the easy route and put it on him? Like, that's not going to solve what's at the root of this. And so, I'm sorry, Christine, that kind of went off on my soapbox, but
No, you're fine. You're fine.
it's the
Because
reason we're friends is because I think that we similarly feel that there's a disease here,
there is.
and it's sad, man. It really is.
There is. And I've been cautious to not say it until now. Just because I wanted to wait until that motion to correct error was done and out of the way. I wanted to wait until the lawyers all had a chance to say what they were going to say in the press, and have their moments to shine, and they all did very well. But
Beautiful.
at this point, it's time for me to do my thing. And um, do I think that the cartel had anything to do with the actual murders? Maybe. I mean, maybe not, but probably. To me, this reeks of cartel. I know for 100% certain that there's cartel activity in Delphi. I know that. I know that there are cartel members that are related to some of, not related by birth, but like have relationships with people who are on the suspect lists. So I know that there are cartel folks very, very, very close to the case itself. And that is enough to make my hinky meter go all the way up. And I don't really back down from a whole lot when I've decided that a town needs an enema, Delphi
That's
needs
what
an
I say.
enema.
I actually say that same phrase. It's funny.
Yeah, because
I
it
mean,
does.
look, like I said, we are not going to ruin anything for anyone, but the truth
No.
is the truth. And if
Mhm.
you can't see it, well, look, we'll be here when you're ready to see it. We'll be here. And that
Right.
I'm that way in my life. I'm not going to shove anything down your throats, but I'm telling you, when you're ready, I'll be here.
Right.
That's
Right. And and there are people that do the Delphi YouTubes that have shifty shit. They listen, I'm not all about just ruining people, because people tell lies for all kinds of different reasons. And they lie about where they were and what they were doing for a million different reasons. And I'm not going for somebody's throat unless I have a good reason to. Oh, but the minute that I have that reason, some of y'all are gonna hate to see me coming, because there are some folks that are involved in some dirty, dirty, dirty business.
Look, like I said, that here's what I know. The internet is the way that people communicate.
Yes,
A
it is.
lot of shit, okay, is not in discovery. It's in the open source information on this internet.
Exactly.
I opened up asking you, if
Mhm.
you use the internet to solve crimes,
Every day.
pre-Delphi. Okay, so what I'm saying is that people need to understand that criminals are no different than you and me, and in as much as they need to communicate. They want to communicate the easy way. In other words, they use the internet.
Yes, they do.
So there's been a lot done on the internet, using the internet, and it's day in, day out. So don't be surprised if the future proves the past. When people look back and realize that crimes have been committed and confessions have been made, and forensic evidence has been produced. So it's like I said, I'm not, I don't like going after people. I'm not over here to call names and
Exactly.
point fingers, but I'm telling you, there's absolutely no way that I can believe the lies and the gaslighting and just illogical steps that the state has provided in this case to try to call it resolution. Like it can't work. Like I actually think about something before I just believe it, and I'm very skeptical. So yeah, I mean, that's where I am, and I just love you, Christine, and geez, I don't want to let you go, but I know everyone's in the chat, but I guess I thank you for coming and being here, and
No problem at all. I'm sorry it took us so long to get together. I am down to do this again anytime you want to.
me too. And look, if y'all
I'm
got
never done
questions,
learning.
drop some questions. There was one. Indy says, "Were the family's house searched, cars searched, boy?" Oh, say, so were any of the family's homes or property or anything like that searched that you're aware of?
I do not recall seeing anything about immediate families, anything for them being searched. So, and that's not uncommon in homicides where a stranger, where it's clear that this has been done by a non-family member.
This was Indy Cindy's question. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Rebecca says, "Do you think more people will be coming forward to talk, or are they too afraid to talk?"
They already are. I got
Oh,
information today.
oh, new info.
Today. I got something brand new I had never heard before.
God, thank you, whoever's coming to
Yeah.
talk.
And they came to my Facebook. Somebody found me on Facebook. They kind of went out on a limb. They saw that I commented somewhere in a Delphi group, and they sent me a message to my messenger and said, "Hey, are you the Christine that used to investigate Delphi?" I was like, "I am." and of course, I'm real cautious when people approach me, because usually usually they want something from me. That was not the case today. Today it was because she just wanted to let me know that we were supported and whatever. And in general conversation, there was a nugget dropped. And I was like, wait, go back. We got to talk about this one. And so they repeated themselves. And I was like, okay, let me stop. Let me apologize. I am so sorry that I have been generically dodging your questions. We're going to start all over again because I've never heard this before. And I just kind of assumed that you were another person to hit my inbox trying to snoop. So I apologize and let's move forward.
What was it I wanted to say? Oh, juror. Here's the deal. If you were a juror and you've watched this show, please know that we have no anger towards you. We are so interested in your opinions, and I know that you may be discovering that a lot of information was kept from you. I mean, if you've paid attention to the news this week, uh, with the motion to correct error, it's you've got to understand that that was kept from you. It's been really bad, the amount of information kept from you. So we would love to hear from jurors.
Absolutely. I don't blame that jury a bit.
Christine would love.
If they hadn't seen the TV at all, man, this shit's not on them. They did the best they could with the information that they had.
They weren't watching YouTube. Look,
exactly.
Christine, the attorneys themselves, myself, anyone in the chat, seriously, reach out to whoever you're comfortable with and give them your opinion, because I'm sure that the public would love to know your thoughts and feelings, especially in lieu of this new information.
And I'm not speaking for the defense here, but I have heard all three of them say that they love speaking to jurors after trials, whether they win or they lose, because they feel like the feedback that they get from jurors makes them better for the next trial. Even if it's a different trial, they feel like feedback from jurors just make them better lawyers in general, because it gives them an idea of things that they should stop doing or things that they should do more of. You know, OJ Simpson had that lawyer that had the bad hair day. Does anybody remember that? She had that, what was her name? Marsha Clark. She had she she didn't they didn't hire a trial specialist, and she had this hair, and the public just raked her over the coals for this awful haircut. So then she went and got a perm, and she showed up one day to court with this perm out of the blue, and it was terrible, this perm. And it was a stylist that told her to get it done, and it looked horrible. So then back to the drawing board, they straightened her hair out, and she went back to trial with like another new haircut the very next day. That kind of stuff is the kind of things that jurors can help them with. Like, they want to know, do I need to change the way I dress? Do I need to change my hair? Do I walk in a funny way? Do you not like my attitude? Do you not like my tone of voice? All of those things, they matter. And attorneys want to hear it all.
Yeah, they sure do. So, I mean, in any way, we would love you to join the community. We welcome everyone into the community. And I said yesterday, even the haters, the troll farm, uh, you're welcome to come and apologize like a normal human being, and we can talk it out. But that's all we'll accept is a base level of respect. So, anyway, that goes out to all of you out there in the world. And if you're on the replay, uh, we we are sorry that we missed you on the live stream, but leave some comments down and I will send messages to Christine at any time that seem serious or legitimate or genuine. So just looking at the chat, making sure we're not missing anything. Okay. So that's it, guys. And please do me a favor. Thank Christine immensely. Um, I'll leave the chat open for 5-10 minutes so you can chat with her. But Christine, thank you for coming. I know it was last minute, but it was a wonderful. I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to hear from you and talk to you. And so I'm
No
so glad.
problem at all. I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. God bless.
You too. Have a good night.
All right. Good night. So we're out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. That was a beautiful day. 3 hours. Not too bad. Not too bad. Anyway, if I missed you in the chat, I genuinely apologize. There's been so much chat. It's been hard to keep up with, but you know the deal. I thank you all for being here. Hey, look, Sunflower Soul says, thank you, Prof. Christine, and amazing chat. Yes, and please thank everyone. Also, our guest earlier who came on, that was Michael, Fiend, Noe, and the young lady who's a new viewer. I so appreciate that she was viewing and click that link. So all our supporters here today, 26 Dead Zombies, Peaches 81, Mar R, Jolene Baller, Geraldine, Christina Jarvis, Chevy Killer 306, Mino Dino, Maddie Ice, Indy Cindy, and the Royal We. Thank you all so much. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for the Friday night show. Can't promise anything as spectacular as our conversation tonight, but we hope to have a normal, nice Friday night show. And anyway, it's getting late. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night and tomorrow. And hide your kids, hide your wife. Otherwise, hug them. And that'd be it.
you.